Wendy Bell Radio is live.
I get increasingly worse with that. Like,
You
I
do.
should be totally rock solid, laser focused in your grill. And I'm a flippin' quivering mess. Can't help it. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hey. How's everybody?
Who's ready for the cluster that is the draft?
It looks like I'm wearing no clothes. I'm sorry. I am. You guys remember this dress. Time to dig it out. Oh, look at that. Go, Grandma. Woo.
No, Grand Meows 22.
Grand Meows. Let's go. A monthly supporter. That's so nice. I appreciate your $5. Don't you think I don't? You're so nice. I'm loving these thumbnails.
Yeah, this AI is pretty cool.
I'm just gonna say, and I don't want to give too much away because I still don't know what the monologue is. Kind of have an idea, but I'm not sure. Things are about to get pretty gnarly.
Let me say this too. I was having this conversation with you this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I had it with Kate this morning. All this scientist stuff, nothing to do with aliens. We have fun with the thumbnail and the music,
No.
but
It has to do with modes of transportation in the future that could render fossil fuels completely null and void.
for gasoline,
Yes.
not for plastics and medical equipment but yeah.
Reverse engineering. That's the
I read somewhere
that's
that
the thing.
15 years ago, a guy came up with a way to drive a car on what they called heavy water. Not gas, heavy water. And you could go for hundreds of miles on one tank or 1 gallon of heavy water. Is it?
I think it's interesting when you deal with researchers, all these people who have vanished or who have been found dead. The realm that they're dealing with is so much further beyond the cut and dry, like obvious stuff in front of me.
Yeah,
like they're splitting things, they're creating things, they're bending arcs, they're pushing the limits of X, Y, or Z. I can't even fathom what these people are.
There was a movie called The Saint that this lady came up with. The scientist came up with a way to split, I think, an atom or something like that. That would she called it cold fusion. You could heat forever for free, and the Russian government went after her. It took a guy who was an assassin to save her from being killed.
It seems sort of relevant today. You guys, there are a lot of people, like, we talk about the deep state and we're like, booga, booga, booga. Right? Because you're like, who's
booga,
that?
Booga, booga.
Who's that mysterious, nebulous, shadowy figure in the background? Oh, they're not in the background. They're all over the place and they're freaking the heck out.
Just think of this. You fix fossil fuels. Say you can heat and electricity is going to be abundant.
You got utilities that crash. You've got systems.
Well, not just that. It blows that whole green.
The climate bullcrap goes out the window. That's a huge grift.
Yeah, it's huge. Huge.
That's a huge grift. But that's why Germany, this is why the UK, this is why these countries that are still bowing to the fake god of climate change, they're effed. Like, you can put in a giant freaking windmill in the middle of the river, Maura Healey, you boob. And all we're going to do is know that you're a jackwagon. It's good for the environment.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't hurt the fish and the whales.
It doesn't hurt anything. The guy's jackhammering my back patio today. The whole house is like.
Have you ever used a jackhammer?
No.
You guys out there, you want to talk about a full body workout? You feel like you're still using it like a half an hour later.
I feel like that on a boat. I get off the boat and I was like.
Yeah, it's a full body workout.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, today's going to be interesting. Hey, Ireland contracting, might as well. They're coming to my house Monday. New roof, can't wait. I've got the before pictures. It's not like you can tell. Nobody can even see. That's the bummer of the roof. It's not like anybody sees it. It's in a position where people wouldn't be like, oh, did you see their roof? Sheila, it's fabulous. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. These are my people, Southwestern Pennsylvania, home exterior remodeling experts. They are like family to me, and I trust them and love them. You will too. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com.
Oh, I see. When someone's putting on a roof, it's like, thank God it's not my roof.
Shut up. It's terrible.
You know how expensive those things are. It's what I think. It's what I think. It's what poor people.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be a throat punch kind of a day, ladies and
Poor
gentlemen.
people.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you. Happy Thursday, and welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program, wherever you're listening. I'm just delighted to spend 3 hours of common sense conservatism with you. You know, I'm no rock star. I'm a mom, but I've got great common sense. I can see what's going on out there. I know you can see it as well. And on this program, nobody owns us. There's no parent company other than the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Nobody to silence us. Nobody to tell us what we can or cannot talk about. And that means everything is on the table. Today, we're going to go in a couple places, ladies and gentlemen. It might be uncomfortable for you. It ought not be. But take my hand, stay a while, and share us with a friend. I hope you like what you hear. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I think one of the hardest things in life to do is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And work with me on this one. We do a lot in our lives in order to prevent ourselves from feeling discomfort, whether it's embarrassment, humiliation, heartbreak, whatever it is, whether we've been deceived, right? I think a lot of us would love to just kind of bubble wrap ourselves and just never be in an environment that's uncomfortable. Well, uncomfortable situations are what make you grow, and it is where you then establish comfort. And that's what we're going to do today. There's going to be some uncomfortable conversations. And if you are bright, and I know you are, you've long ago realized when the media all pile onto something and all start saying the same thing, they're giving you a line of BS, fake news narrative, propaganda crap, and you and I know we cannot trust it. Now, when the media avoid a story, or when they treat it almost flippantly, like, I can't believe we have to talk about this. It's so stupid. You can guarantee that that, in fact, is real news, and it's much bigger than you think. That is the story today. I want to tell you about two things. Number one, this president of ours has been more devoted to the idea of freedom than anybody I've ever been around, anybody I've read, anybody I have followed. This man, Donald Trump, about freedom. He believes in you. He believes in your ability to make decisions that are best for you. He believes the government should stay out of your business, that the government is basically elected, hired to do a job that we, the people, dictate. And he sees that the whole system has been run off the rails. Instead of us calling the shots on our representatives being our servants, which they are, they've become kings of the castle, untouchable princes and princesses who can get away with God knows what. And you and I don't even know the half of it, right? Donald Trump believes in your ability, your choices. That's called freedom. It's not government deciding for you. It's not you being told what to do, which is what happened during COVID, which was why it was so alarming to so many of us to see how many people were ready to be, I guess, corralled, deceived, and taken in that cattle chute like clone troopers. President Trump this week said, you know what, we're going to let these warriors who come back from battle, who come back with scars and post-traumatic stress disorder, we're going to make it easier for them to try psychedelic drugs and various treatments that they had to go to Mexico to get because they were deemed illegal here in the United States. But President Trump listened to the researchers and listened to the veterans who'd had great success. And he's like, you should be free without government barriers to try things that might help you. And so he said, you know what? Let's do it. There's a Stanford study that says people, soldiers suffering from post-traumatic stress, i.e. the number of suicides we have every day, which is a national travesty, we could stop that. These soldiers saw up to 90% reduction of their symptoms, which quite literally drive them insane in their own minds. President Trump said, you know what? Let's go. Try it. Today, what are they doing about marijuana? Well, a majority of Americans support legalizing marijuana. Everybody's already smoking it everywhere anyhow, right? Why don't we back up and get some of the guide rails around the drug, I guess, characteristics, or it's, what do they call it? They categorize it in various levels. Let's not make it a felony. Let's bump this down so that more people can make the decision for them, whether it's anxiety, whether it's recreational, whether they have seizures like Brock, and his physicians are not allowed to say marijuana has been shown to help with seizures. You should be able to have access to try for yourself. That's freedom. We're not saying marijuana is like heroin. We're saying marijuana has obvious medicinal benefits. How about we get out of the way and we stop penalizing those who sell it medically, give them some tax breaks so it's easier for people to try, and I don't know, maybe have a society that's a little more relaxed. This is a 78-year-old president. He's not of the generation, I don't believe, where there's indiscriminate drug use, but that's not what he's saying. He's saying we know better. We've invented better things. We understand science. Let's make it easier for people to decide for themselves, period. Now, this is where the weird part comes in, and you're going to have to be comfortable being a little uncomfortable. We're entering not just a golden age, according to this president. We're entering an age of enlightenment. You and I are about to walk into a chapter of American history, i.e. world history, because the world watches America. And there's going to be a series of bombshell revelations that come out. And the first few are going to be stunning, like this Operation Round River that the FBI was running during Joe Biden's presidency to essentially shut down anybody who talked about the Biden crime family syndicate. Anybody who made mention of Hunter being in Burisma as some gas guy with zero knowledge, anybody, shut them down, silence them, squeeze them, threaten them. That's exactly what I believe is going on with all these missing scientists, ladies and gentlemen, because the number has grown. Look, one is sad. That could be a tragedy, one death. Two, that's kind of coincidental. 3 is a pattern. 14 is a freaking national security alarm bell. And anybody out there who's not talking about it is in on it or is a member of the deep state. Pay close attention to your media. I remember when we started talking about this a couple weeks ago. It says nothing to do with UFOs and aliens. It's something totally different. We got to get to the bottom of what's going on with these men and women who are either vaporizing while walking on hiking trails with friends where there is not a whisper of them. Whereas just a minute ago, I looked back and saw them. Gone. Poof. How about these special frequency weapons, these direct energy weapons? We've got proof that perhaps one was neutralized by one of those, shot on their front deck, killed in their house, or the ever popular suicide from the researcher, of course, who wasn't suicidal. Something is going on, and that something is one little thread of this tapestry of corruption and deep state fraud that has been robbing us freaking blind. The part that got me, though, and I'm going to tell you this, as a mom, I look at Nick Shirley maybe a little differently than many of you. He's 24. I have a 24-year-old. I look at him the way I look at my son. And Nick Shirley went on Sean Ryan's podcast and said one of his mom's friends got a phone call out of the blue from somebody who said, you call Nick Shirley's mom and you tell her that he best not investigate fraud anymore, or else something bad is going to happen to his family. And I looked at that young man's eyes as though he had seen a ghost. It is desperation time, ladies and gentlemen, and we are over the mark. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because I believe it's coming big time. We're going to talk about these stories today. We're going to talk about missing scientists, and now number is up to 14. That's nuts. But when we come back, it looks like that Virginia gerrymander debacle of suck is not such a done deal after all. President truthing about it and a court ruling, yeah, not so fast there. Abby, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's about secrets. It's about money. It is about control. It is about power. And you are not about any of those things. You don't factor into any of this. You are collateral damage. You're unlike somebody on the battlefield, somebody who gets picked off by a stray bullet or something. Well, that's the cost of going to war. Yeah, I don't feel that way about you. I don't feel that way about life. I don't think you're a throwaway. And I don't think Nick Shirley is either, but he's scared. He's scared. Somebody close to him, he was told, I can guarantee you, is going to get killed. They had threatened. And when he said his mom got the call, I want to tell you about, who do I want to tell? GLP-1 Gold. I did it yesterday. So let's get out of the gates. So I want to talk to you guys about this. A lot of people are like, I really don't understand GLP. What is that? Well, GLP is a hormone. It promotes fullness to reduce appetite. And it's produced naturally in the gut after you eat. Not everybody has GLP levels that are as high as they would like, because they could still eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. Well, that's why they get the shot, because the shot tells your body you don't want to eat anymore. You don't have to get the shot to have your brain tell your gut, knock it off. You're not hungry anymore. You can get it with this dietary supplement by Juvenon. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy is the landing page. Everything on site, 30% off for the Wendy Bell Radio family. I love them. You know this. This is very important, okay? This is a natural hormone that helps regulate blood sugar, signals fullness to your brain. When you take this, you're going to feel full sooner and you're going to stay full longer without pharmaceutical drugs. So nobody's making money off it like that. You're losing weight. GLP-1 Gold, bloodflow7.com/Wendy, 30% off. I'm just going to say they're the bomb. Love everything they do. How you doing? Let's see what you guys are thinking here. All right. 1.19. Thank you. Maybe we can get 300 more by the bottom. All right.
Crazy. You bring up marijuana, no one has a problem with it. I bring it up yesterday, and
Well, the fact of the matter is it's a majority issue.
yeah.
84% support legalizing medical cannabis. Like, they're all smoking it at the freaking car wash anyway. That's totally what it is. I mean, you totally don't have representation in Virginia now. If they enact this new congressional map, you're going to have people representing folks that aren't from those people's area. It's completely contrary to what the founding fathers envisioned where they created this form of government. Representative of the people. Yeah, not really at all. I want to read this to you, though, because there's a poll out that's pretty interesting. And it's a YouGov poll, and it's on marijuana. Look, if you're old school and you're like, it's a drug, nobody should do drugs, it's against the law. You're also the person who does 55 in the fast lane and gets pissed at me when I'm like, dude, beat it. And you're like, I'm going fast enough. The speed limit says 55. No. Move aside. We've invented the gas pedal. And it works thusly, right? So here's the new poll. This is a majority issue, okay? Whether or not you're in the minority. New polling on marijuana, percent who support or oppose making the use of marijuana legal in the United States. U.S. adult citizens across the board, all of us mushed in together, 59%. Democrats, 75%. Independents, 54%. Republicans are a little bit more prude. We're the 50%ers, right? But down the age category, 58% of 18 to 29, 55% of 30 to 44, 63% of people 45 to 64, and 57% of 65 plus. It is a majority. President Trump saw that and said, and so it shall be done. Let's make it easier for people who could benefit from medical marijuana to freaking get it. Boom. Okay. That's important. He's paying attention. Okay? I want to talk about Virginia. He's paying attention to this as well. This is what the president truthed out after the election. Squeaker, a couple points there, if you believe that that's actually what happened. President Trump truthed out a rigged election took place last night in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. All day long, Republicans were winning. The spirit was unbelievable until the very end when, of course, there was a massive mail-in ballot drop. Where have I heard that before? And the Democrats eked out another crooked victory. If you don't think Trump knows everything, you need to get comfortable with that because he does. He tells you everything. It's like reading a book and the cliff notes at the same time, right? 6-5 goes 10-1 now. And yet the presidential election in November was very close to a 50-50 split. In addition to everything else, the language on the referendum was purposefully unintelligible and deceptive. As everyone knows, I am an extraordinarily brilliant person. And even I had no idea what the hell they were talking about in the referendum, and neither did they. Let's see if the courts will fix this travesty of Justice President Donald J. Trump. Well, this just in. Circuit Court judge says Tuesday's referendum was, wait for it, yes, unconstitutional. I want to read this to you because it's important. Virginia's highest court now, their Supreme Court, will weigh in on several legal challenges to Democratic lawmakers' redistricting plan after voters approved the constitutional amendment during Tuesday's special election. The state Supreme Court had opted to wait until after Election Day to hear the arguments. Multiple outlets have reported the Virginia Supreme Court is expected to hear some of those challenges soon in the next coming days. Experts said the redrawn map could give Democrats a 10-1 edge in the U.S. House after this year's midterm election. Currently, it's represented by 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. The new map will be in place for the next 3 election cycles. And then after a new census, poof, the traditional bipartisan process would be used again, supporters of the redistricting measure said. Why are you changing it now? Right? And why for such a brief period of time? Because they know they can't win if they don't. But Republicans have filed several lawsuits, some alleging that the process of getting the amendment on the ballot itself wasn't followed properly, and one particularly concerned with the language of the question itself. The court's going to be under some pressure to come back with a decision probably in the next month or so, said Miles Coleman, who's an associate editor of some, Center for Politics at the University of Virginia. Well, Virginia has already pushed back its primary election from June to August, and some candidates have announced plans to pursue a suit once the new map is in place. One legal challenge questions the language of the constitutional amendment itself. Saying that this was a vote for fair elections is plain English, contrary to the ramification of the vote, that it's the argument that the opponents of the measure are making. I don't think it's going to fly. I don't think it's going to fly in the lower courts. It's not going to fly in the upper court. So they're going to say, you trampled all over the process. This is sort of like in Pennsylvania during 2020, when the Secretary of State was like, you don't have to worry about ballot, signature verification. Don't worry about the timestamp. Don't worry about how late they come in. It's a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic. We're just going to have to roll with it. But just this time. Really? Just this time. So the president is all over it, a growing number, obviously, of Virginians, saying this is garbage, it's got to be challenged, and so we will keep our eye on the Virginia Supreme Court. Meantime, as I told you at the beginning, the number is now 14, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? 14 mysterious deaths or disappearances of scientists either connected to NASA or to anti-gravity and propulsion research. Nothing is a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Sorry. I was going in to talk and one of my hairs was on here and it was like tickling my face and I was like...
So it's no secret that the draft is in Pittsburgh this year.
That's how we got our trash picked up, damn it.
Right. So something good is coming out of it. So a friend of mine is working at a bar.
As a bouncer,
bartender.
Helping a buddy.
Market Square, which is fairly close to, if you're not from Pittsburgh, where the draft is being held. So they have this amphitheater type setup down there. I walked in with Kate. We weren't even in Market Square, which is open air, and you could smell. When Kate turns to me and says, haven't they heard of vaping?
We've invented less smelly stuff since then.
Yeah. I said, it's like the car wash. Everybody went to the car wash and then went.
Do you have like an ounce of weed on you now and you're on fire? Because that's what it smells like. Yeah, I agree. But, I think I appreciate this president. I really appreciate it. Like if there is a way that a medical marijuana card for Brock would enable him to navigate better seizures or even puncture through a seizure and see some kind of enlightenment, like these guys with post-traumatic stress say, that the hallucinogenics that they take allow them to puncture that fear, that anxiety, that overwhelming sense of darkness, and let them get through to the other side, where then they all of a sudden are like somebody new and they see things on a different level. There's a reason why so many extraordinarily talented artists, whether they be painters or sculptors or musicians or actors, use drugs, right? And hard drugs, a lot of them are very creative on that. A lot of them also overdose. So therein is your freedom. What are you going to do?
I would never get one because
Well, you've
can't
got to conceal carry.
carry.
Yeah. It's a good point. All right, I want to read you this. This is from Glow. Love her. She's like, "Hey, Wendy, thank God for REM sleep by Healthy Cell. Thanks to Tuesday's election here in Virginia, I had a very hard time falling asleep. Finally, about 1:30 a.m., I decided to take my REM sleep. I only took half the package, though, since it was so late at night. It doesn't matter, Glow. You could take it all. Within 15 minutes, I was out and I slept the rest of the night. So thankful for my REM sleep when I needed it." She says, "I also love the joint and mobility and the bone strength. I feel the difference each day, especially the two areas where I had my bone fractures in 2025. Healthycell.com/Wendy. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, you've got to check out healthycell.com/Wendy. You do you. Check the formulations. There is one that freaking screams for you, whether it's for blood pressure, blood sugar, circulation, blood flow, hair, skin, and nails, your vision, your bone strength, your cartilage, joints, all of it. Thanks, Glow. I'm saving that. That's a saver. That is a keeper. Brock and I had an opportunity to see our friend Diane yesterday. She looks good. Did you notice how little she was shaking?
Yes. It's the first thing I noticed. I didn't see any.
Going to Simkovich Concussion Institute and rolling the dice and being like, "Hey, nobody has been able to help me in any regard with my essential tremor. I have nothing to lose by going to you, Dr. Simkovich." And he was like, "All right, Diane, get this MRI, see your PCP. I need this blood work." She did all of that with no guarantees, went to go see him, and through 4 pretty in-depth days of treatment and then subsequent 4 or 5 follow-ups, she says she's 75 to 80% better. Would you take 75 to 80% better of whatever is bothering you? I would. 412-366-3700. She was telling us about a young woman in the waiting room who she knew was our Diane, and the two have connected and shared their stories together. And this woman, after hearing about Diane, made the drive, came to Pittsburgh, and had the same treatment.
And got rid of the fog that she's had for her entire life.
She apparently fell.
I can't remember what she
fell
said.
Or something happened.
She said she had like this brain fog.
She was hurt as a youngster, I believe, and had always felt like she was like in a curtain, couldn't get out of it. And it's like Dr. Simkovich opened it up, and she's like,
What?
So I'm not just sitting here talking out of my ears here. Simkovich Concussion Institute.com. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. 412-366-3700. You do you, but I'm on your side. And then, of course, you need to email me, wendybellradio@gmail.com.
To be honest, I think in anything.
Because it makes me happy.
You don't know how bad you feel until you feel good. And 50%. I'd take 50%.
I look forward to telling you guys about some of the treatment I had on my foot that I believe is life-changing. Life-changing. Amazing. Once I browbeat him into becoming an advertiser.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, like I said at the beginning, one death is a bummer. I just found out this morning, working out with my friend Mary Beth at a mutual acquaintance of ours, somebody I knew and thought very highly of, died a couple months ago, and I had no idea. You know, when you hear about somebody and you're like, oh, wait, what? It stuns you. You're stunned. One death can be stunning. Two is a coincidence. Three is a pattern. 14 deaths or missing people, all affiliated with sort of the same kind of stuff. And then you're told by people who obviously don't want us talking about it. Oh, but there's no connection. My foot, there's no connection. A bunch of really smart people, many of whom with, I would imagine, top security clearances and what have you, working in a field of science that is so beyond what you and I could possibly imagine. Imagine these researchers working on exactly the kind of system that some witnesses to unidentified alien aircraft have said they've seen. Spacecraft coming down in front of them, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, it's gone. There's no noise, there's no wings, there's no jet fuel, there's no brake in the air. They're just whoosh, gone. Well, these 14 researchers were all working on a lot of the same stuff. Anti-gravity researcher Amy Eskridge is one of these names that has come up. She's the 34-year-old. Amy Eskridge had told people in her orbit about a month before she died, I'm not suicidal. If anything happens to me, I did not do it. Do know that. And she ended up dead. And they said it was a suicide. Well, there's a gentleman. This Amy Eskridge was working on things that are beyond our comprehension, I believe. So on News Nation yesterday, Elizabeth Vargas has this guest on. His name is Frank Milburn. And Frank Milburn is a former British paratrooper, which is less significant than his real job as a well-known ufologist, who befriended Amy Eskridge a few months before her death. And Liz Vargas at News Nation has this Frank Milburn on. You are a scientist. You are testified. You've been on science shows. You've done all this stuff with UFOs and whatnot. Well, tell me about your relationship with this woman, because you say that she told you she's not suicidal and then she ends up dead. This is how the conversation begins, and I want you to hear what comes out, because it leaves Liz Vargas in that very uncomfortable state. Listen.
Milburn says he spoke to Amy just 4 hours before she died and claims that she seemed fine. He also says he texted with her about what she claimed were physical and psychological attacks meant to intimidate her. News Nation has not been able to independently verify the text messages or the pictures that we're about to show you. In this text conversation, it appears Eskridge texted Milburn pictures of her hands, which do seem to be burned or discolored in these photos. She writes, "Burns line up perfectly with the edge of the table as I was typing. Getting hit repeatedly with military-grade sci-fi weapons is pretty tiresome after a while." In others, she tells Milburn not to believe she committed suicide if she ends up dead. This one reads, quote, I did not shoot myself in my head with my own firearm. I did not overdose on my prescription meds. I did not drive off a cliff.
What? So, U.S. researcher Amy Eskridge, who died, and this was nearly 4 years ago, in a reported suicide, claimed to have been struck by a directed energy weapon. And she feared for her life, a former British intelligence officer told News Nation. Frank Milburn telling Elizabeth Vargas reports that Eskridge believes she was being targeted for her work in propulsion technology. Now, think about that for a minute. He said that she claimed she was being physically and psychologically attacked, and he provided pictures to Liz Vargas that Amy Eskridge provided to him, showing discolored hands working on a computer. Now, if people can track down Nick Shirley's mom and get a message to her to tell her son, you ought not be snooping around this fraud anymore in Los Angeles County, or else someone you love is going to disappear. Do you not think that somebody could be hassling, harassing, threatening, bullying, and hurting with direct energy weapons a young researcher who's working on propulsion technology that, if is what it could be, could fundamentally change transportation on planet Earth? You think a lot of people would like that? I would, but a lot of industries would lose a lot of money. Audio soundbite number 2. Amy Eskridge's father, though, says his daughter's death was not suspicious. But again, this ufologist Frank Milburn, friends of Amy Eskridge, says he knows she did not kill herself.
Spoke to her, 4 hours before she died. A month before that, she sent me another one of those similar messages. I'm not going to commit suicide. I'm not going to kill myself or anybody else. I'm not going to overdose. If I die, treat it as suspicious. And she calls me 4 hours before she died. Everything was fine. And then somewhere between 4 and 5 hours later, I get a call and I find out that she's dead.
So he speaks with her, and 4 hours later, he gets noticed that she has killed herself. Does that line up for any of you living in Realville? No, of course not. So the 34-year-old was added to the highly publicized list of U.S. researchers and scientists with ties to aerospace or defense who have either died or gone missing in the last few years. In fact, now the House Oversight Committee and the FBI are investigating these cases. President Trump is even speaking about it now. Now, Milburn, this is where things get squirrely. He says Milburn suggests bad actors may have had it in for his friend because Eskridge had been developing technology that threatened conventional rocketry. If you're using old, still chemical rockets to go to the moon, and you've got some young upstart scientist who comes along and says, well, I've got a propulsion system that's much more efficient, well, then you're going to lose a lot of money. Now, here's the weird part. Amy Eskridge's father, a former NASA employee, insists that there's nothing at all suspicious about his daughter's death, despite all the online speculation. He recently told News Nation he doesn't think there's more to his daughter's death, saying scientists die also, just like other people. What? Now, if there's not one smoking gun that this dude is being blackmailed the same way that Nick Shirley probably is, by deep, dark actors, ladies and gentlemen. Start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. See, you and I are nothing. We are nothing. We're collateral damage. We're money that goes into the coffers that they need to stay in business. There's an apparatus of darkness out there that I don't think you and I could possibly fathom. And much like the blackmail and bribery apparatus that is Capitol Hill, that is how Democrats all vote the same way. Because Nancy Pelosi's got binders on all of them. She entraps them. I am going to submit to you. This is my opinion. And then keeps folders so that when it comes time for the squeeze, she can get everybody to vote in line. We all comment on how amazing it is that they're all in lockstep, while it's freaking herding cats over on the Republican side. But what if it's a lot more nefarious? Now, I want you to hear Frank Milburn then say something about Amy's body. So she died on a Saturday, and the cremation of her body was so lickety split. Why?
There was an autopsy on the Saturday, so she died early Saturday morning. There's an autopsy on the Saturday. She was cremated on the Sunday, which would remove any evidence of injuries from directed energy weapons over time, to internal organs, to the spine and skin. And then on the Monday, I followed up with the local PD and also the Alabama Bureau of Investigation. They said they had no knowledge of an accident involving a gunshot wound or a suicide or a homicide of anybody called Amy Eskridge.
Okay. In fact, now you just don't exist anymore. So she's cremated in like 24 hours. What don't you want us to know? Who else does that remind you guys of? Hosing down the evidence on the roof at the Butler Farm Show complex during the Trump assassination attempt, right? Cremating Thomas Crook's body. Where's the autopsy? Who did one? Did anybody? Because the family of Amy Eskridge, did they? And he continues. Frank Milburn, a ufologist, tells Liz Vargas, he describes how he and Amy Eskridge struck up a relationship on Twitter in a series of posts about UFOs and science and technology, about how she'd introduced him to her coworkers who'd also been getting harassed and hurt. What?
She started with that information probably about a month after we first met. But as I said, she was introducing me to her co-workers, other scientists, and then after she died, other people that she'd known since she was since her childhood, they came forward. They'd been attacked as well in relation to her. Her co-workers had been attacked. They'd been roofied. They'd been beaten up, and they were absolutely terrified. They said, Amy gave us your contact details in case anything happened. Then other scientists started coming forward as well, saying that I'm interested in UAP and I've had directed energy weapon attacks.
What? It's not just her being threatened or harassed, but colleagues of hers, people with whom she has communicated about the technology that she's been researching and things that she's inventing, and they get freaking hassled, roofied, beaten. What? Elizabeth Vargas doesn't even know what to do. So she asks him, what was Amy working on? Why would this be happening to her? Bing, 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 bing.
Because they were working on projects with Amy Eskridge and everybody around her was being attacked. So it was basically it was a policy to stop her, to debilitate her and dissuade her from working, debilitate her if they couldn't get her to stop working, and then to terrorize her by isolating her completely, by attacking everybody around her as well.
What was she working on, this anti-gravity research? What was that? And why was it be so sensitive?
Well, I mean, if you're using still chemical rockets to go to the moon, and you've got some young upstart scientist comes along and says, "Well, I've got a propulsion system that's like much more efficient," then you're going to lose a lot of money. If you're looking at free energy and she's saying, "Right, I can provide free energy that obviates the need for fossil fuels," then you're going to be very worried about that. And the fact that when she had that particular directed energy weapon attack that I documented, she was working on a program for Homeland Security, and I went to meetings on that with her online, where she was working on a project to protect subways across the continental United States from chemical, bio, and radiological attack. So there's a lot of different, potential threat vectors there.
Elizabeth Vargas can't handle it. Literally, her face is about to melt off. Look, this is where you all have to be open-minded. This guy has no reason to deceive at all. Well, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's hear how CNN is covering this story. And then tell me that this isn't a national security freaking nightmare. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Brock wins Ploy of the Year. The frantic race behind the glass that you guys didn't get to see as he's standing up and trying to two of the clips didn't somehow get transferred over or what have you. And so I have Liz Vargas 1, 2, 3. 4 and 5 have been vaporized by NASA or what have you.
Listen.
And he manages to wrestle it in under the wire for me.
Very often, I don't very often pat myself on the back. but I did that editing blind.
That was awesome.
I did not hear it. I went
Well,
strictly by your times.
yeah, because I
and
am
how it
such a
looks.
rock star time code giver to her.
But I had to look at the sound
Yes,
waves.
yes, yes. You're a
Okay.
stud. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Employee of the month.
That's the end of the month. Don't worry about it.
All right. I've been gushing about it, and I have to say something to you about this. I really strongly suggest, no matter who you are, no matter a man or woman, no matter your age, and it would benefit you if you're younger because you have more time to do it. I'm just going to say I'm seeing some changes in me with collagen peptides. And the woman I work out with is saying it too. She asked me today, she's like, so what do you do outside of working here a couple hours a week with me? You walk, you run, what are you doing? And I'm like, no. She's like, you're doing nothing other than the hour that you do with me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I said, yes. And she was like, good for you. I'm going to say I introduced this into my diet, and it's just 1 10-gram scoop. And Brock puts it in my healthy fat, and I drink it every day. I think this is making a huge difference. There is no reason for you not to be taking collagen peptides. It is extraordinarily beneficial for you on every level, from head to toe, inside, outside, all of it. This is something you need. Hair, skin, nails, bones, guts, joints, cartilage, all of it. Collagen peptides. Go to getnativepath.com/Wendy. Getnativepath.com/Wendy. It's I don't even know what the discount is. It's up to 45% off. This is like the least expensive, easiest thing for you to do that's awesome for you. Collagen peptides. Game changer. I mean, I better make sure we have more. Getnativepath.com/Wendy. Works. I love it. I watched the whole interview with Elizabeth Vargas.
So did I.
And she starts getting agitated. The more he gives evidence that some serious shizzle is wrong. They've been roofied. They've been
do you think
up,
it's
they've been this,
agitation?
I don't know what it is, bro.
Or is it I can't wrap my head around this live?
Maybe.
I think that's what it was, is I can't wrap my head around this live.
And I'm going to ask you this question. Give me a reason why we shouldn't believe what Frank Milburn says. Like, what's in it for him?
He's never lied to me, like our government.
Like, what's in it for him? Why would he come forward? He's never met her, right? I've never met the Bob Sloan, the guy who used to do our podcast, though we did business together for almost 4 years, right? I never met Wayne Peters. What's Up Canada? I've never met that man. And yet I would do anything for him. He got a real good relationship with this woman. Why would he lie? Suspicious as hell without telling me that they're connected and suspicious as hell. Well, have CNN cover the story. So Liz Vargas, to her credit, is incredulous. I think she's gobsmacked by what Frank Milburn is telling her. People are being threatened, bullied, roofied, beaten. What? Direct energy weapons. Her hands are all red. She was apparently committed suicide, but she didn't. And now her dad is like, oh, she totally didn't. But what the hell? What's going on? Well, let's listen to CNN's take on this. CNN's Erin Burnett, I call her the news babe, but she's like, listen to how she delivers the first 45 seconds of this report. She's going to set the table for you before tossing out to a story that a reporter has done in the field. She is annoyed that she's covering this story. Like, ugh, why am I even wasting my time doing this? Like, it's so not even true. And it's all like conspiracy theories. And you're like, really? Listen to her disregard, her ambivalence, almost her annoyance that she has to talk about a right-wing conspiracy theory. Dude, there's 14 people missing or dead. Lose the attitude, Aaron.
Tonight, it's the conspiracy theory that won't die down on the right. The Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee now pointing the finger at America's adversaries in the deaths or unexplained disappearances of about 10 people connected to sensitive national security issues. The Oversight Committee now is investigating. The FBI has also opened a probe.
China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, they're all, on the suspect list, but there are a lot of, Eastern European countries and other countries that could be involved as well, or it could be a coincidence.
And of course, there are thousands of people who work on those projects. Natasha Chen looked at the conspiracy theories and lays out what we now know in this Outfront report.
At the conspiracy theories, there's thousands of people who work in this field. So, I mean, she's already told you that what's about to be presented to you is some right-wing tinfoil hat wackadoodle MAGA stuff. Or it's now actually 14, Aaron, if you want to get on the ball, sweetness. 14 dead or missing scientists. Don't insult me. But what she does do is tell you that this is absolutely something we have to be paying attention to. Here comes the reporter. She's more annoyed than the news babe that she's got to cover this story. And she makes sure that the viewer knows this. Listen, I'm going to quote her at the end of this. Listen to the first 30 seconds of what this reporter does.
Whether coincidence or conspiracy,
there's a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here.
The deaths and disappearances of about a dozen people who are either scientists or worked with scientists with access to sensitive national security information has gone from a fringe talker to a federal investigation.
What do you think your dad would say if he knew that there was an investigation like this?
I just know he is rolling in his grave, knowing that his name is going around being involved in something like this.
So what would you think about your father? Can you imagine your father, who's also one of the dead freaking scientists? She's talking to Julia Hicks, whose father, Michael Hicks, was a NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory scientist. Oh, yeah, he's dead too. And she's like, no, he was just really sick. I know he was sick. I know why he died. It wasn't anything that was nefarious. Listen to what's coming up now.
Julia Hicks's father, 59-year-old Michael David Hicks, was named in a letter from the Republican-led House Oversight Committee, calling for the FBI, NASA, Department of Energy, and Department of Defense to investigate possible connections among cases including his, because he worked at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory on projects working to deflect near-Earth asteroids, and his obituary didn't state a cause of death. Julia Hicks was the one who found her father when he died.
He had underlying medical conditions for years and years and years. And when he passed away, I knew why. There was no need for an autopsy for me.
But you know what? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because there was no cause of death listed and there is no illness, injury, or other thing that her father would have suffered from. Why was he sick? How was he sick? He wasn't sick based on what anybody around him knew. And here's his daughter saying, I knew why he died. He was sick. Move along. Somebody got to her as well, possibly. I don't know. But why is CNN running such interference? Why are they calling it a conspiracy? Really? Or is it a fact? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, President Trump ditches his Secretary of the Navy, a new one you're going to like next. I mean,
did you notice when she talked, she never looked at the camera?
Like she was reading something or what?
No, she was looking all around.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
I look at people in the eye.
I watch their eyes.
I talk to you guys, right? I know you think it's like my love for you coming through the lens. No, it's creepy. Why would this reporter, your father must be rolling over in his grave. Why would you say that? Because he's one of the 14, you feckless twit. So when CNN tells you it's not going on, it's most assuredly going on. When CNN tells you something is going on, it's not. It's just a fake news narrative.
You know why they covered it. Because it's all over social media.
And they're zero.
And their viewers might
Zero.
not watch Fox or the Wendy Bell show, but they see X and they're probably like, what is this all about?
Is
So
X the
CNN
greatest thing
jumps-
ever? I love it. I think it's
So
great.
CNN jumps in and says, it's nothing. Don't
It's
worry.
stop it. You don't have to worry about. I'm just like, I'm so annoyed that I'm even doing this story. Whatever. Conspiracy theorist. Okay, Aaron. It's great to hear your 2 cents. Love you. Let's talk about the healthy fat because that goes in conjunction with my collagen peptides. I feel like I'm just like this constant machine, and I keep telling you the same things and the same things. Do you drink water? Yeah, you have to, or you're going to die. A lot of people think that if they drink a lot of water, that water will fill up their belly and will prevent them from eating as much. Or what you could do instead of drowning yourself is put a scoop of this. I don't know why. Why do they do this? Like, what is that? It's giant. Right? So you put a scoop of this in the water you're already drinking. And 1, it's delicious. 2, it's a dietary supplement that crushes your appetite. And 3, it settles all of those cravings in your mind. You're like, I need to have Skittles. I have to have a donut. Give me something. Give me potato chips. Right? Ketones for more energy. This is what Dr. Gundry did. 70 pounds he lost 20 years ago. He's kept it off. He gives it to his friends. He gives it to his patients. He says he's seen literally thousands of people lose significant weight. So 30, 40, 50, what's your number? What do you want to lose? Get this. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Love them. I drink it every day.
Hey, I'm going on break.
You're going on break?
Yeah.
Why? You don't get a break.
Because that 4 minutes was, I look down and I'm like,
oh, snap.
And then I look up, I'm like, oh, I must just not have pulled them over. I'm like,
no, they're not there.
They're not there.
Well, there was some direct energy weapon. Clearly, it was sent by YouTube, the same way that they blackballed you before you even had a chance.
And the sad thing is, so I have to mute. If I don't mute my computer, you guys, that's when you hear the echo, right? So I have to mute my computer so I can't edit on this computer because that could be the most stressful thing I did in the last year.
Really?
Yeah.
You knew I had you covered though, right?
I knew you'd keep talking, but I thought it was a fascinating interview too.
Yeah, so you didn't want it to be lost.
I want you, no offense, I want them to hear what this guy says,
100%.
not your talking about.
100%. I do too.
Just doing, it's very stressful to do that stuff blind. It just is.
Whatever. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, I guess.
Ghost Bed. Let me tell you about Ghost Bed, ghostbed.com. I'm actually going to read it to you. I said I would yesterday, and then I went off. And I was like, I love Ghost Bed. Let's see, bookmarks, bookmark manager, other bookmarks. There you go, baby doll. Bring it up. Bring it full screen. So buying a new bed. It should not be a mystery. It should not be one of those things that I understand the desire to go to a place where you can lie on a bed and feel if you like it. In 5 minutes, you're going to lie there and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to spend the next 10 years of my life, 8 hours a day on this thing. I'm not even so sure that lying on it for 5 minutes is even beneficial. And so it seems counterintuitive that you would buy one online until you meet my friends at Ghost Bed. They're having their spring sale, and they're also adding onto it an extra 10% off just for you. And that's how you use my promo code Wendy. I'm going to bring up the script and tell you all about the, it says, welcome fans, your exclusive access to award-winning sleep courtesy of Wendy Bell and extra 10% off site-wide. What? Extra 10% on everything there. And this was my testimonial. This mattress in my son's room was so lumpy and awful, he moved into the basement to sleep on the couch. That's when I ordered a Ghost Bed. The process was simple. The cost was affordable. The shipping was seamless. The mattress is fantastic. And now my 5 sons get to fight over who sleeps on it. Thank you, Ghost Bed, for making a quality mattress that sleeps like a dream. This mom thanks you. So it's 101 nights. They're going to give it to you. 101 nights. Try it, sleep on it, jump on it, do what you got to do, and realize that it's going to be a game changer for you. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. And thank you to our friends at Ghostbed for trusting me.
Sounds like Brock needs a new mattress.
Do you?
I want to get one of those split ones
that
you can raise if.
It's almost like they have those.
Yeah.
Crazy. No, just, whatever. How are we doing? Are we up at 2 yet?
No, don't look.
Oh, 174. Come on, 260 people. Click the thumbs up button, you turkeys. It's almost up to 5,000 people watching. Hi. I'm so happy you're here. So happy you're here. 200, we're breaking the internet. 260 watching on X. We're building it back again.
Harry's back.
Harry is back. Is he back at the bottom of this?
Yes.
Oh, Harry.
Oh,
Harry.
he was enjoyable, though.
He was funny. He's actually funny in this one. He seems less like a stooge, whatever. Okay. Wow. 260 people. Come on. 200 now. Let's go. You could hit it before I start talking. That would be in appreciation of Brock's lightning fast fingers.
Right. Look at pimping any way you can.
It's that thumbs up.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. I'm liking these moves this president and Pete Hegseth are making. President Trump making some tweaks to his MAGA lineup and getting a new badass Navy secretary. You know what? This is going to be a very interesting change for the Navy. Navy secretary fired after feud over Trump's Golden Fleet with Pentagon leaders, including Hegseth. I want to read you this story, a brief little update here from the New York Post. I think it's interesting. President was pretty solid with his cabinet and with a lot of these military leaders for the first year of his second term. And then he started making some changes. Obviously, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi. Now you have Lori Chavez-DeRemer, Secretary of Labor. I guess she's on her way out as well for various reasons. Okay. President Trump is trying to firm up who the inner sanctum is. Who is that circle of MAGA that I can count on? And he's finding the right people and he's shedding others. And this dude's a friend of his. Secretary of the Navy John Phelan was fired Wednesday after months of feuding with his Pentagon bosses, particularly over his handling of President Trump's Golden Fleet shipbuilding initiative. You heard about that? Tensions among Phelan War Secretary Pete Hegseth and Deputy War Secretary Stephen Feinberg, they'd been simmering for months, according to the New York Times and a Republican source. I hate those anonymous sources. Phelan didn't get along with the Pentagon brass, and his management and leadership style were incongruent with Hegseth and Feinberg. One GOP source familiar with the fired Navy Secretary's standing at the Pentagon told the Post. The administration really wanted to accelerate this shipbuilding program because of the president's agenda, and the secretary seemed incapable, of accomplishing those goals, and he wasn't well liked, the source said. So when you combine incompetence with arrogance, it usually doesn't end well, right? Apparently this guy, Phelan, is close friends with Donald Trump Jr. Feinberg had been gradually diverting responsibility for the major project away from Phelan. Secretary also had butted heads with Hung Cao, the undersecretary who is now set to replace him. All right, so let's hear a little bit about this. And I want to read you. Hung Cao is a very interesting veteran who came to this country as an immigrant and espoused all of the things that I think President Trump exudes when he stands on stage, kind of wrapped around with the flags, right? This is how I get the vibe of this president when he hugs the American flag and kisses it. And when he talks about his feelings of giving back to this country, Hung Cao is the same way. Sean Parnell, our friend, the let's just say wingman for the Department of War, the Secretary of War, Pentagon spokesman says this: Secretary of the Navy John C. Phelan is departing the administration effective immediately. On behalf of the Secretary of War and the Deputy Secretary of War, we are grateful to Secretary Phelan for his service to the Department of the United States Navy. We wish him well in his future endeavors. Undersecretary Hung Cao will become acting Secretary of the Navy. Now, this is a major shakeup. This is considered a major shakeup in the military. Fox has a report, just about 30 seconds, and he's talking about there at the reporters at the White House, says the Secretary of War is cleaning house from top to bottom. And he's right, because Pete Hegseth has cleaned up a lot of people and gotten a lot of these top people out. Listen.
The Pentagon spokesman just announced Navy Secretary John Phelan is departing the administration effective immediately, saying, quote, "We wish him well in his future endeavors." It was not immediately clear from this post if he resigned or was fired, but Fox News has learned in the last few moments that he was fired. He had a very close relationship, apparently, with Donald Trump Jr. and just hosted a bridal shower for his fiancée this past weekend in Palm Beach. Phelan was confirmed by the Senate just over a year ago. Undersecretary Hung Cao is to assume the role of acting secretary. This marks the 34th military officer that Secretary Hegseth has fired since taking over the agency, Brett.
Yeah, John Phelan at Navy Secretary there, and we'll try to get some more details.
Oh, good coverage there, Brett. Appreciate you. So who is Hung Cao? Well, if you're from Virginia, you know that he ran and allegedly lost to Tim Kaine, which was unfortunate, in the Senate. And then he was named Undersecretary of the Navy. He's very interesting, though. He was one of the Navy divers who, 1999, helped recover the bodies of JFK Jr., Carolyn Bessette, and her sister. When they crashed and died, he was one of the divers who recovered those bodies, which is just, it's got to be so bizarre. I want you, this is what I believe is the road ahead for conservatives who want to make inroads with the MAGA community, make America great again. And he put out an ad when he was running for Senate, Hung Cao did. And it's so effective. It's 3.5 minutes. I only want to play a part of it for you, but it's everything and more that this president is. And it makes perfect sense that he would select and that Pete would select this gentleman to be the head of the Navy. Listen.
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night. and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners, our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen.
You know, I thought it was such an appropriate ad. I like hearing about where he came from, his sense of duty, his sense of patriotism, this idea of giving back. But he talks about this browbeaten and scared into silence. No. That's how you get lockdowns. That's how you get mandates. That's how you get stolen elections. That's how you get Joe Biden. That's how you let the deep state infiltrate your country. That's how you have hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars stolen, not just from us, but from our children and our grandchildren who have yet to be born. It wasn't that ad, though, that made me start to pay attention to Hung Kao. It was what he did in January as the Undersecretary of the Navy, certainly before he became elevated to the Secretary. He was the guy who wrote an apology to all of the service members who were discharged dishonorably under the Joe Biden administration for refusing to comply with the tyrannical and crazy vaccine mandate. He is the one who wrote a letter to all of those men and women, thousands of them, personally saying, I'm sorry that happened to you. I want to clear your record, make it official, and welcome you back into the United States military. I'm sorry. He didn't do it, ladies and gentlemen, but he feels duty-bound to bring those men and women of utmost conscience and bravery back into the fold of the United States Navy. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Congress approval hits a new low. Harry Enton flapping his arms about it, and it's the GOP sinking Congress in this poll. Damn right. John Thune, you awake? Paying attention? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I could have watched another 4 minutes of him talking about all of the issues that he's right. We're not supposed to talk about. Men, boys walking around in dresses, right? People in school saying they had to poop in kitty litter boxes. And stupid, woke adults obliged them, as you and I sat back horrified, not of the kids who are simply pawns of groomers and suck education, but of the adults who bowed by the pressure. I mean, stop. How shameful. How embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you. Embarrassed. Anyway, how are you guys? I was a little persnickety about that one. Sorry. Well, I'm excited for Pete Hegseth. I think he's been nothing but a badass. I love how they try to get him. He's an alcoholic. Cash Patel's an alcoholic. What else are you going to say? What do you have? Honestly, what do you have? Because you don't have a record that you can defend. Just to say that. All right, tulip blooms. Tulip blooms. Okay. I'm just going to tell you, I didn't bring it because I keep it at home and I forget. I have been using the Blue Calm face under the Soothe drop down on my chest and face. Oh, Brock's getting a hit right now. It is the, I'll just say I've never spent money on essential oils or been into like massage oils and things like that. But I do like soft skin. And it bothers me, particularly when you live in rough climates where the weather changes and your skin and your cuticles, your feet, your toes, your heels, everything just takes a beating. This by Tulip Blooms, the velour massage oil, is my favorite thing. I'm going to say it's like velvet. It absorbs into your hands after about 5-6 minutes. And it's absolutely fantastic. I put it on all over, and you can go to the bathroom all day, wash your hands, and for some reason there's like some protective mechanism because it gets down into your skin. It absorbs down into the cellular level. And I'm just telling you, it fluffs everything up and it's soft and fabulous. So I was talking to my friends Patrick and Ashley, who own tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. And they're like, what do you like? They sent us all this stuff. And I was like, I like this and this and this and this. And they're like, let's put together a Mother's Day box. And you can have one thing, you can have 4 or 5 things. And the more you put in your box, the greater the percentage of discount. Makes sense. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. My favorite things are listed, but why not make your own box? Here's what I like about it. The way she packages it, they're packaged beautifully, put in a box, and then those little brown like shavings are in it. So they're like cute little curly Q instead of the pop with the peanuts, the big styrofoam things that are awful. This is the paper that's easily recycled. And it's beautiful. You open it up and you're like, special gift for mom, special gift for Mother's Day. Get one for you too. And hey, you know what? If you're not a mom, screw it. Get it anyway.
Use it on your feet.
I'm telling you what.
That's game changer.
It's just, it's special. Love me some Tulip Blooms.
I keep marking the one at home.
Oh, shush. No, you don't. I would be so annoyed at you if you did.
You gotta ration that.
Stop. I know people. Gotta ration that. All right, let's see. Did we hit 2 yet? Oh, we just hit it. I'm thinking we're going to destroy it today, but I have faith. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. If you were asked, even knowing that Republicans are in charge of Congress right now, ostensibly, do you give Congress an approval or disapproval? I don't know why anybody would approve of a damn thing these people are doing. And look, I'm more upset with the Republicans, and I think most Republicans are. I expect Democrats to suck. Democrats always suck. Democrats have sucked for years. They will always suck. Sadly, if you're a Democrat, sorry, you probably suck. Sorry, not sorry. The things that you believe in, perhaps, aren't necessarily the things I believe in, but I can say unequivocally that the reason I would say Congress sucks is because of the Republicans. And Harry Anton actually has kind of a funny clip here. So this Gallup poll, let's hear it from Harry. He's like, look, this is bad news. Almost 9 in 10 Americans polled think the people who represent us on Capitol Hill are the worst. Let's go.
You know, I just want to say to Congress, stand up and applaud. You're usually hated, but usually not this hated. You're reaching, or at least tying, record highs in terms of disapproval. Hello, 86% of Americans disapprove of Congress. That is tied with November of 2013 for the all-time high. As I said, Congress, usually hated, but usually not this hated. You're actually managing to tie records. Just 10%. Just 10% of Americans approve of the job that Congress is doing. So therefore, as I said, stand up and give yourselves a round of applause. You managed to do it. Congratulations.
So Gallup notes that disapproval of Congress has hit 86% 5 times since 1974, with 3 of those instances coinciding with a government shutdown or the threat of one. That includes this poll conducted among 1,001 adults from April 1st through the 15th, as the Department of Homeland Security was mired in a shutdown that started in mid-February. It is still going on. Let's listen, though, because Harry says, are there other things out there that get only 10% approval? Well, yeah, in fact, here you go.
What else basically has 10% of the population by their side? Just take a look here. Okay, Americans who say that the moon landing was faked back in 1969. Sarah side, and they're off on the side laughing. More Americans say that the moon landing was fake back in 1969 than actually approve of the job that Congress is doing right now at 10%. That 10% is equal to the percentage of Americans that believe that the Earth is flat. Of course, we did not fake the moon landing. We did land on the moon. And of course, the Earth is actually a sphere, my dear friends.
That's the one that made me
it's round.
Laugh.
Yes.
It's
it's not flat. You can't walk off the edge of the Earth. But apparently the same percentage believe that Congress is a job well done.
So the moon landing. How do you feel about that? 1972. Yeah, absolutely. That was real. Anywho, audio soundbite number 3. The news babe asks Harry to look back. Look in your magic ball, Harry, and ask it, what is making Americans so upset about Congress? I couldn't possibly piece this picture together.
What does this tell you about sort of where Americans' minds are and why they are so annoyed or pissed with Congress?
Yeah, pissed is a great word. Perturbed is another one. I like my peas early in the morning. But I would just say this. You see this 10%, right? You go, how the heck did we end up here? You know, Republicans control the House. Republicans control the Senate. But yet, Republicans have actually turned on this Congress. Just take a look here. I mean, just look at this. Congress's net approval rating among the GOP. Back in March of 2025, it was plus 33%. That was the net approval. That was the net approval. Down it goes to minus 56. What is that? That's like an 89-point move over a little bit years' time. No wonder at this point Congress is facing record high disapproval rating, because even Republicans, and their party controls Congress, absolutely despises it.
Wow, those numbers are abysmal. I don't know what Congress can do to fix them.
There's nothing. I mean, maybe they can walk off the edge of the flat Earth.
I was going to say, I got one thing they can do. They could actually give a budget, approve a budget. Which
they
is
could
like
actually
their
do
number
something,
job.
do something. Then maybe people might actually like you.
100%, Harry. Just 20% of Republicans now approve of this Republican-led Congress, down from 61% last July. What? Democrats have consistently rated the current Congress poorly. Independents' views have been relatively stable at a low level, but it is the abject bottoming out. Republicans, conservative Americans, are so frustrated by the lack of anything. It's a repeat of 2022, and we're so freaking tired of it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, John Solomon appears on Glenn Beck's show yesterday talking about accountability. Accountability is coming, he said. Do you believe it? Well, he's got some proof for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right, guys.
I think Republicans are dismayed because of one thing, the SAVE Act.
Mm-hmm.
And they hate Democrats, and that Republicans aren't fighting the Democrats.
And Trump can only do so many executive orders. Those all go poof if they're not codified. So what the hell are you doing? That's what I want to know. Well, I know what Texas Bullion Exchange is doing. My friends at wendylovesgold.com are waiting for you to call. And I mean that sincerely because they know when we're on the show and they wait for the phone to ring. 855-927-5557. You know, I tell you today, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, opening your mind to the possibility, the things that you had banked on before aren't as they seem. I think we're going to get a lot of that. This is the time when you realize it actually is a very wise decision to invest in precious metals. Look, I know a lot of you are paycheck to paycheck. It's not like you've got thousands of dollars sitting in a chair stuffed into the filling that you can pull out and be like, let's get some gold and silver, honey. But there are many of you, but you do probably have an IRA. You have a savings plan and you can get gold into that. But there are quite a few of you out there who maybe are grandparent age. Your house is paid off. How many vacations can you take? So you're like, I could get gold and silver. Why not? Why not? There's literally no risk to you, considering that their principal protection program guarantees that if you decide to sell your metals back to wendylovesgold.com, that you will not make back anything less than what you spent. You'll get your return on your investment, no less. Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. 855-927-5557. If you have significant wealth, think about it. If you have some breathing room, think about it. I did. I wanted to see how it worked. And it's seamless and it's exciting and it's fun to have gold and silver in your hands. Just going to say it. I like it in my ears, but I actually like it in my hands a lot. wendylovesgold.com. You'll get one of these. One of these. The Gold IRA guide is so helpful because it's quite possible that you don't have to spend any money to get metals into your portfolio. That's what I like, right? How much is that? Nothing? Thank you. Okay. Let's see how you guys are doing. What's going on? How many comments have we had? What are you guys chitter-chattering about? 176 comments. All right. All right, here's a question for you. I want to know, seriously, and you have to comment in the comments section, not on the Rumble section. Do you believe that the moon landing was, in fact, the moon landing? That what you saw was exactly what happened, or do you think it was faked? That's kind of a big one, right? Kind of a big one. But what do you think? Do you think it's real? Do you have confidence in it? Or are you sort of like, I don't know about that. What do you think? Real or Memorex? Let's see if anybody remembers that.
I bet more than 10% think Trump's a time traveler.
Mm-hmm. Fryer fake. Jumpin' Jim fake. Demanda definitely faked. 4chan faked. Liberty Bell faked. Holy shizers. What? Really? Yeah, I know. For my husband. To be like,
to go along with that.
What happened to you?
What's the last thing that you think is real? That hasn't been
manipulated or what have you
in some way by our government or, I mean, with AI now.
Teresa says real. Kathy says, I actually believe that the moon landing happened, not based on what I saw, but on what some of the astronauts said later. Well, the astronauts can all say one thing the same way that Nick Shirley is being told to not investigate fraud anymore or else something terrible is going to happen. What did we hear from, who was it? The Eric Burleson said the members of the military haven't spoken about it because they would be threatened with dishonorable discharge. You're not allowed to talk, or maybe that was Tim Burchett.
That carries along.
Not allowed to talk about it. Not allowed to talk about it. Cone of silence. Really? Why? DJ says, yes, it's real. JL Crow, yes, real. 2 of 7, real. Pure Rock, real staged. Smiles 1957, moon landing, all fake. Moon is plasma.
Would you be surprised? Maybe this is the best way.
Aviator, you're of the.
Would you be surprised if it wasn't fake? I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't fake or if it was real.
FJ Nelson says, not sure. A lot of good arguments against. Yeah. It's interesting. Why is somebody calling me? I'm not here to talk to you. Oh, it's spam. Oh, you can suck it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Whatever happened to the do not call list?
Jane Manderfield, real. FJ Nelson, not sure. DJ Rit, the moon landing was fake and the earth is flat. Staged. Wow.
I don't know if I'll go to flat earth, but
that's so interesting.
I could totally see them faking it. You went from not even talking about it to saying, we're going to land on the moon.
Right. And for some reason, we just haven't gone back. But a researcher who's working on certain kinds of propulsion ends up killing herself. Okay. Brock always knows how to spin the hits. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, this is a very interesting kind of open door into what I feel about the monologue today when I was like, look, it's one of the hardest things to do as you get older is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, we want to protect ourselves. We like to bubble wrap our kids, helicopter over them. We plug every electrical outlet. We take everything that could be a possible hazard to the point where they have no life. And they don't ever learn about consequences. Right. And there's a degree to which you want to protect, you want to bubble. And then there's that moment where you're like, sorry. And we might call it tough love. That moment when you realize that the stuff that you do actually does have consequences and there's not somebody who's going to be bailing you out all the time. It's a tough one. It's that moment that you feel, my goodness, is it truly possible that there could be so many dirty, dark actors who've been doing so many dirty, dark things to us? Yeah. Yeah. And I'm open to that possibility. I found it curious during the Biden crime family syndicate. And I remember when I was on Newsmax and they would simulcast this show. So they had a camera in here and they put us on their secondary channel N2. And I had to send them a rundown every day of what I was going to do, what the stories were. And if I talked at all about Joe Biden and the Biden crime family syndicate, they would ditch off of me and put on some infomercial or whatever such nonsense. I mean, it's their right. They can do what they want to do. But they didn't want to get into that realm. And I'm like, why? We have demonstrable evidence from House oversight. There are the receipts, suspicious activity reports. There was a diamond. There's a freaking car. There's emails. There's photographs. There's all sorts of documentation. You have people who are front and center whistleblowers coming to you, telling you exactly what happened. And yet, nothing. He's untouchable. Why? Because he's president? Or because he's not as corrupt as all the other deep state presidents were? John Solomon said something to Glenn Beck on his show, though, yesterday that I thought was interesting, though chilling. And he said, you know what? There is an operation in between Arctic frost and this other thing where it seems like all the FBI was doing was running these weird covert operations to create stupid narratives and point people in directions to believe those narratives while simultaneously doing dark and dirty things over here to benefit themselves and then strong-arming anybody who came out and was like, look, this doesn't make sense. What's going on here? It's no different than what I believe happened to Nick Shirley. He got a phone call. Don't investigate. He says it was the Russian mafia. We will hurt you. We will do things that you will not recover from. And Nick Shirley saw a ghost. I think that happens far more than you and I know. I just do. And I believe that these families of some of these missing researchers and scientists, they've gotten the call. It wasn't from the Russian mafia. It was from somebody in the government. It was some deep state somebody saying, like, look, you want to talk about your daughter? You better say it was a suicide, or else everybody else you love is going to magically disappear too. Who do you tell that to? Where do you turn? Where do you blow the whistle? I don't know. But John Solomon says, look, I think accountability is coming. And he says more nonprofits, which is such a misnomer. They're usually money laundering operations using our money, and they usually suck, are about to get exposed for doing so much so wrong and for doing it for so long. And the DOJ is going to go after perjurers who lied under oath. I'm thinking Fauci. I'm thinking Chris Wray. I'm thinking John Brennan. I'm thinking all of these people, right? So try this audio soundbite on for size as John Solomon, who I believe is a straight shooter who was reached out to, I believe, by Q or whatever one wants to believe is that entity, saying, hey, you're on top of the iceberg, but there's an awful lot going on underneath the water. Listen.
I think we're about to enter into, we have MAGA, we have MAHA, we have all these great acronyms. I think we're about to enter into a period of MAAA, Make America Accountable Again. I think with Pam Bondi moved aside, the speed at which the Justice Department will move on things that have been working in the system for months is picking up. And so there'll be more nonprofits that were doing things that probably are not allowed under the tax code. If you incorporate yourself to say, we want a tax exemption because we're going to do public good, and you obstruct law enforcement proceedings on the streets of Minnesota or somewhere else, you're probably in danger of having committed fraud. So I would look and see, I'm watching, I think there'll be more indictments in the nonprofit realm. Then we're looking at those who may have given false testimony or obstructed Congress. We know John Brennan was referred for that. James Comey was targeted for that. I think those are on the table right now. Then those who may have gone and gotten phone records and pierced the privacy of individuals, they're next in line. So this line keeps moving. And then I think in the summer and fall, we're going to talk a lot more about a case called Operation Round River. It may be the most troubling of the four.
Oh my gosh.
Round River.
Round River. What is Round River? Operation Round River. Now, as you listen to John Solomon and you decide what you believe is right or wrong or true or not, this guy, I don't remember the last time he was wrong. I don't remember the last time he didn't come out and project something that was going to happen, and that something did not happen. It's almost like he's selected as a conduit to go between the administration and you and me. Listen.
When Russia collusion and Crossfire Hurricane was ending, the FBI opened up a new investigation called Round River, and its goal was to neutralize anyone who would dare suggest that there was a corrupt relationship between Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the Ukrainian government or the Ukrainian company Burisma, and to treat people who talked about it with certain speech parameters as national security threats. And I'm working hard to get those files declassified. And I think that's going to be the most troubling, because I believe if what we're being told is true, and I want to check it until we get it there may have been speech parameters as the reason you were targeted. If you said something, you might have been assessed a security threat as a security threat by the FBI. That would be very troubling. I've seen some evidence in court filings in the last few days that entire law firms had their client records taken secretly under this investigation or spin-offs from it. You're supposed to have some privacy when you have a relationship with you and your lawyer. So we'll see where that leads. But all the people I've talked to in government think that Round River may be the most jaw-dropping of the four codename investigations that targeted Donald Trump and his followers.
So Margot Cleveland over at The Federalist has a very interesting article on this. She says Round River was an FBI op, a deep state conspiracy to thwart investigation into the Biden crime family corruption. The scandal is no longer about the Biden family, but now about the FBI agents and the DOJ employees responsible for conspiring to thwart the investigation into a former president. Pete Hegseth is cleaning up at the Navy. He's cleaning up in the military. He's getting rid of the baggage and the darkness that allowed so much filth to infiltrate the military. This is what's going on at the FBI. This is why they're trying to say that Kash Patel is a drunk. This is what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. The U.S. attorney tasked in 2020 by Attorney General William Barr with vetting evidence related to the Biden family and Ukrainian corruption knew nothing about the recently revealed Round River FBI operation launched to neutralize all negative information and allegations of Biden family corruption. The secret operation not only left the Pittsburgh-based U.S. attorney unaware of potentially relevant information, it also buried scores of derogatory allegations about the Biden family in the FBI's prohibited access files, preventing them from being accessed by any other FBI officials. Well, news broke that the FBI agents had recently discovered the opening memo and files for an investigation branded Round River, which targeted individuals who shared or distributed allegations against the Biden family and was run out of the Pittsburgh office, according to Just the News, John Solomon's outfit. The files also show the Bureau may have targeted the Pittsburgh office as the launching point to impede an effort by then Attorney General Bill Barr to ask his federal prosecution team in the same city to investigate why an FBI informant report alleging Biden family corruption was not fully investigated when it first came in. Ladies and gentlemen, this tip of the spear here, you're beginning to see more clearly how deep and how dark and how desperate the deep state is, right? That people who would be whistleblowers, people who would be able to tell stories about the Biden crime family syndicate, what do we know? $30 million. At a minimum, the Biden crime family syndicate was paid while Joe Biden was in and out of office. Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, China. Why? What were you getting money for? Well, you're not supposed to know about that, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? If you talk a little too much or you sniff around a little too much, maybe you ask a few too many questions, you're going to get Nick Shirley's phone call. Ring. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Or worse, you can disappear or suddenly be found dead and nobody's supposed to talk about it. And then when they go to try to look at the body, it's going to be cremated. All of a sudden, poof. Well, we had a backlog, right? You see how all of these stories today are connected, maybe not in their subject matter, but that there is extraordinary manipulation going on. You are the innocent bystander. You are the collateral damage. You are the piggy bank. And you're not supposed to know any of this stuff. But John Solomon says, Round River, Operation Round River. Pay attention to that. It's coming. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk a little bit more about SUC, Southern Poverty Law Center, how their funding of Unite the Right, that operation in Charlottesville, generated an incredible return on its investment. How they're going down, though, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right. I want to tell you guys about Health Revolution. I think it's time that there was a revolution in how we get medical insurance, health insurance. It shouldn't be complicated. It shouldn't be like your cable bill where you're stuck paying for and receiving 1,500 channels when you really just want 12. Why am I paying for all this? Oh, it's greater access. No, it's bundling and it sucks. And that shouldn't be your health insurance. If you're a dude and you're not married, you shouldn't be paying for maternity coverage, right? Also, if you're, if you are in an Affordable Care Act right now and you're getting bent over every which way, your deductibles through the roof, you've got sky-high copays, and you can't keep your doctor or your insurance, this is for you. If you're under the age of 65, if you're on COBRA, If you just want insurance that finally works for you, or you're self-employed, this is a great solution. It's like, make your own policy. No open enrollment period. Hurry, you've got to get it in before this date. No, all you got to do is call 800-868-6187. 800-868-6187. info.healthrevolution.net. This is so important. So important. For most families, you could save hundreds of dollars a month, cut your medical expenses or health insurance expenses 30 to 60%. So this means no copays, reasonable deductibles, the freedom to see any doctor you choose. I don't know why you wouldn't get in touch with them. 800-868-6187, info.healthrevolution.net. All right, let's all say something nice about me. Okay, maybe not. 2.5, let's go. We need 300 people. 300 people to get to 2.5. That's a big deal. That's a big mark, and I'd appreciate it. Thank you. This is one of the best written articles I've ever read. And this reporter, the Economic Collapse Report. His name is Clive Cummings. I'm telling you what. 2 thumbs up, Clive. I'll read your stuff, babe. 100%. I woke up at 2:22 this morning. And I was awake. Right? So I yawned. I'm sorry. I had 3 pieces of pizza last night and it destroyed me.
Where from?
Aiello's. It was so good. I was hungry and got home late and nobody was making dinner. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get pizza. And then I was like,
I had a fish sandwich.
ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. It was a lot of food.
Fish sandwiches are usually like for 2 people, I think. 8 fish on there. Read an article that has to do with nonprofit fraud and garbage, and it's all about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, we told you about this federal indictment, 11 counts, money laundering, all this other stuff. They fund people to create the anti-Semitism, the racism out there that they say that they're fighting. They're the ultimate firefighter arsonist. They got busted. They're going to go down. But there's more to it than this. So this is economiccollapse.report. There's a particular kind of audacity required to fund a fire and then sell buckets. That, in essence, is what a federal grand jury in Montgomery, Alabama, has accused the Southern Poverty Law Center of doing. And if the indictment holds, it may force a reckoning with one of the most consequential political narratives of the last decade. On Tuesday, the Department of Justice charged the SPLC with 11 counts of wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The allegation at the center of it all: the organization secretly funneled more than $3 million in donor money given explicitly to fight white supremacy, to actual members of the KKK, the Aryan Nations, the National Socialist Party, and others. But buried inside that indictment is a detail that dwarfs the financial crimes. One SPLC paid operative, known only as Field Source 37, was a member of the online leadership group that planned the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. He attended the rally at the SPLC's direction. He made racist postings under SPLC supervision. He helped coordinate transportation for attendees. And for his services, he was paid $270,000 over 8 years. Let that sit for a moment. The rally that liberals spent years holding up as proof that American conservatism was indistinguishable from Nazism, the event that launched a presidency, restructured the media landscape, justified mass corporate censorship of the right, and provided the emotional core of Joe Biden's entire 2020 campaign, had a paid operative of a left-wing nonprofit organizing it? Yeah. The prophet Isaiah understood this dynamic long before the age of nonprofit grift. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. Southern Poverty Law Center built an entire empire doing exactly that. And according to federal prosecutors, it was doing so with money it told donors would be used for the opposite purpose. To understand what was really at stake in Charlottesville, you've got to follow the money. Not the $270K paid to FS 37, but the tidal wave that came back the other direction. According to the SPLC's own tax filings, the organization collected roughly $50 million in donations in 2016. In the fiscal year ending October 2017, the period bookended by the Charlottesville rally, that number exploded to $132 million. Donations had never previously exceeded 50 million in a single year. They've now fallen below 97 million. They have not fallen below 97 million since. The organization, sitting already on a $500 million endowment, received an infusion of celebrity and corporate cash that reads like a who's who of progressive America. Apple CEO Tim Cook announced a $1 million gift, saying hate is a cancer. JP Morgan Chase pledged another $500,000. George and Amal Clooney wrote a check for $1 million, declaring that what happened in Charlottesville demands our collective engagement. None of these donors knew that the Southern Poverty Law Center paid an operative to help make that event happen. This is exactly what Attorney General Todd Blanche meant when he said SPLC was manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose. The indictment states that the Southern Poverty Law Center's paid informants engaged in the active promotion of racist groups at the same time the SPLC was denouncing the same groups on its website. The scheme required fictitious shell companies, Fox Photography, Rare Books Warehouse, Center Investigative Agency, through which prepaid debit cards were loaded and handed off to Klansmen and neo-Nazis. The deception was not incidental, it was structural. And the political returns on Charlottesville dwarfed even the financial ones. The rally became the single most weaponized event in modern American political history. And its utility to the left depended entirely on a lie. When President Trump said there were very fine people on both sides, he was explicitly referring to those on both sides of the Confederate statue debate. And he explicitly condemned the neo-Nazis, right? The transcript has always been available. It has never been ambiguous, right? And yet they ran on it, and they used it, and they won on it. Right? Allegedly. And of course, they had to steal the election in 2020. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the dark money, dark secrets, deep state. And there are a lot of tentacles on this nasty, nasty serpent. But if John Solomon is correct, these nonprofits are about to go down. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program. On deck next, Ron DeSantis is making his case after taking on Trump back in the election of 24. I'm MAGA. He proves it next on the Wendy Bell radio program. I love that author. I'm going to send him a message and be like, I kind of love you. Come on, man. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Disinfectwithsniper.com. I used it this morning. My boys had people over watching Pens lose abysmally again. And I had to clean the powder room on the first floor. So this morning when I was milling around, not sleeping, I spritzed Sniper all over the powder room, on the floor, on the toilet, on the handle, on the bed, everything that people touch. I sprayed it and I walked away. And I came back in and I could tell it was working because it has a very faint chlorine smell, but it's not like a chemical smell. It's almost like it smells clean. It smells like you did something and something happened. And there was something that happened, a chemical reaction. And bacteria and germs and viruses and fungal infections and all of this stuff that can make us sick and make us uncomfortable, it gets taken care of. Now, you don't even have to wipe it off, but I did, of course. And it just leaves everything perfect. Very nominal effort. Disinfectwithsniper.com. 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 There you go. Love it. Sniper. It's like tulip blooms. I have it everywhere. I've got it in my car. I've got it in my bathroom. I've got it in the kitchen. I've got it in the basement. I have a bottle in my shower. It's that good.
It's all over my house, too.
Oh, absolutely. Bad jokes.
Yes, get them early because I have to print them out.
Bad jokes. And don't make a copy of a meme because he's not going to transcribe it. It's one of those things. It's not going to, like, you literally have to write it out for him because no. It's a lot. It ends up being a lot of work. And then he's going to want a freaking medal because he already wanted one for this. Oh, Greg is so great. He just gave me the stink eye. Yes, you did a good job, Brock. Yes, you did. Okay. Let's go bold. You guys ready to go bold? Let's do it. Uh-huh. Who else do I want to talk about? So I'm going to say this. I told you, I thought when my trainer this morning was like, are you sure you're not doing anything else? She's tough. She's real tough. She's a very strong woman. She's a badass. She's going to be 65. And she can do unassisted, either way pull-ups. To me, that's just freaking what? And when she asked me, she's like, are you doing anything other than this workout with me? And I was like, no. She's like, you're looking very good and you're looking very strong. And I know that she rolls her eyes when I tell her, but it's Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon. It's exactly what it is. Improving the blood flow to your body. Improving the blood flow to your body is tremendous if you have an injury. Improving blood flow to your body is incredible for you if you have a heart condition, right? And you already are like, this is going to give you a little bit of stamina. This is going to give you some strength. This is going to give you some endurance. How? It relaxes the blood vessels because of nitric oxide. That's the secret ingredient. And then more blood can get through. Now, I want you to think about for men. Think about for men the benefit of this. Increased blood flow all over the body. It helps get it to your brain, helps with mental clarity, right? Get rid of the fog, helps with your gut, everything about you. But what I'm going to say is you take Blood Flow 7, all of a sudden you're going to be stronger than you've ever been. You're going to be less tired than you've ever been. You're not going to crash and hit the wall. You're going to see improvement in your daily life. And I make the example of whether you're walking up the basement steps carrying a load of laundry, and that can be, or you're walking in the woods, or you're just doing basic stuff. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Alpha Gold Male is the dudes. I strongly recommend the dudes get the dudes. Anybody can get this. It's not specific for women. Anybody can have it. 30% off. I'm talking less than $1 a day. How about that? That's the greatest gift of all. So good. So good. Love it.
What's for dinner tonight?
I think Tuscan chicken. This is really a great little dish. I love it. It's thin sliced chicken breast. And you put salt and pepper and oregano all over it. And then I fry it in some light oil. So it's nice, it's cooked on both sides, obviously. And you set that aside. And then you add to it butter, a hell of a lot of butter, a hell of a lot of garlic. I get those Flavor Bomb cherry tomatoes, which are wonderful. I cut those in half. Spinach, heavy cream, and salt and pepper. And so with the drippings of the chicken, and then it makes this phenomenal sauce. And then you put your chicken back into the sauce and serve it over pasta.
You should probably make extra just to make sure there's enough.
Doesn't that sound
Just
good?
in case there's a bunch of people.
And Michael got it on some TikTok and he made it. And we're like, what? Yeah. So I asked him to do it yesterday. He forgot.
He's doing it today.
No, I'm doing it today. I don't mind doing it. I don't have anything really to do. It's going to be great. That and some strawberries. Strawberries are finally back down $3 for 2 pounds, which is great.
I'm trying a new sauce tonight. I'm marinating chicken in this honey mustard bacon sauce that I bought at the home show.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I have to make one of those soups that I bought for Kate and me. Those soup kits. They're
We
so
do
good.
have to do another brisket before too long.
Before they're gone.
So Bobby can't say he doesn't like brisket.
2.5, guys. Let's go. I love you. But
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Delighted to be with you. WendyBellRadio.com if you'd like to tune in to the live video stream. And we encourage people to join the chat. Literally, we call this an army, and there's an army of people that start chatting hours before the show even goes live. You are welcome to join us. WendyBellRadio.com. Please do. I want to know who you are, and I want to know what you think. And that's what the show is all about. Very interactive. Also, our podcast. We're so close to getting 8 million podcast downloads. We're at like 7.8 million right now. Just plug us in, Wendy Bell Radio, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and take us with you forever. Okay, so Ron DeSantis, I have to be honest, and I said it when he decided to run for president, in 2024. And I was like, dude, not your time. What are you doing? Why are you running for anything? This is Donald Trump's time for retribution. After all of the things that the deep state and Democrats and the rhinos did to President Trump, all of the things they put him through in the 4 years that he was not allegedly president, and people actually came forward thinking that the American people wanted somebody than Donald Trump to take the fight to the deep state and freaking eviscerate them once and for all. Who else is doing that? Who else is taking on the Ayatollah or the mullahs in Iran? Who else is trying to save the people of Venezuela from a dictator? Who else risked life and limb? And everything reputationally, not to mention American service member lives, by ordering that. Who else went out to the mat and said to the Iranian leadership, don't kill those 8 women who you're supposed to hang today? If you want to negotiate and make a deal, it's got to begin with this act of benevolence. Let them be. And they did, allegedly, if you believe anybody. One man did that. And so when I'm looking around, I'm like, Ron DeSantis, really? He's thinking he's going to get in and he's going to unseat the guy that everybody has watched be railroaded for 9 freaking years? What a dumb idea. What a dumb group of, whomever did his intelligence. I was like, that's terrible. His guidance, bad. And he's been kind of clawing his way back into the good graces of MAGA and President Trump since, which is interesting. Well, this is wild. So the whole redistricting thing, I'm going to read this to you because I think it's super interesting how Just the News puts it out there. This redistricting battle, now all the eyes are on Florida, right? So you had Texas, which the left says spearheaded their gerrymandering of Virginia. And so now you've got this imbalance in the House where you're going to have Democrats obviously taking over more seats than we want. And so Ron DeSantis is like, well, you know what? Florida looks good. We can do this. But he's even deeper and more of a planner than that. Sky is a keeper. Let's listen. After Virginia Democrats successfully convinced voters to approve a constitutionally questionable redistricting push to seize more U.S. congressional seats in the state, Florida is now in the spotlight. In the Sunshine State, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is spearheading an effort to redraw his state's congressional districts before the midterm elections. In fact, earlier this year, he called a special session of the state legislature to consider redrawing the maps. And now Republicans see it as an opportunity, perhaps, to cancel out the likely gains the Democrats won in Virginia. Following that vote, allies of President Trump urged Florida to move forward with the plans before the midterm elections. To my friends in Tallahassee, in a state that is ruby red, it is time to respond to what we saw tonight in Virginia. This is President Trump truthing out with a redistricting plan that reflects Florida's true partisan lean and adds 3 to 4 GOP seats to our super majority. This wasn't Trump. This was former Trump White House spokesman Harrison Fields posting to X. He says Virginia is a purple state being drawn as deep blue. Florida should draw a map that is even redder and get it passed ASAP. It is time to redistrict Florida. A former Trump chief of staff, Mark Meadows, posted over 2 million Americans have moved to the Sunshine State since 2020, and the old congressional maps no longer reflect the state. Governor DeSantis supports this effort and has convened a special session, and now the legislature needs to get it over the finish line. So DeSantis delayed this special session until next week, I would imagine, ostensibly to give his office some more time to propose a new map. He's not said publicly that he's linked his redistricting push next week to Virginia's referendum, and he even denied that there is a connection. When asked last week about the timing of the special session, DeSantis said he has no idea what the relevance of Virginia would be to his decision to postpone the session. He argues that the state should be prepared to redraw its districts if the Supreme Court delivers a ruling in the landmark redistricting case it's currently considering, which would radically change how the Voting Rights Act governs the map. All right, so here you have Ron DeSantis. He's like, look, we're ready to go. And Hakeem Jeffries yesterday, the House Minority Leader, was the last couple days, they were almost gloating over trampling over what had been a fair congressional map in the state of Virginia in the Commonwealth. And he's gloating like, oh yeah. And he legitimately said this, you want to F around? Well, you just found out. And it was so gross, right? And so he threatens Ron DeSantis. He's like, I'm going to come. If you want to redistrict, you want to gerrymander, you want to draw new House districts in Florida, I'm going to come down and wait until you see me. I'll be everywhere rallying against it. So how does Ron DeSantis respond? Well, this is great. It's got 1.4 million views of this. This is off the cuff, fantastic. Oh my goodness, Ron DeSantis.
I heard this guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. He wants to be Speaker of the House, and he's kind of like, more liberal than Pelosi and all this other stuff from New York City. I just want to know, Florida can't do, we're going to go after Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state. Voters will not like what they see. They will not want that type of ideology. And so the door is open. The invitation's out there. I don't think there'd be anything better for the Republican Party of Florida but to have Jeffries there. Now, I kind of feel bad for the guy because he's as left as they come. He's always going left. And yet the far left hates him. They call him a dollar store Obama. They call him AIPAC Shakur, all these different derogatory names that they do. And so he's tried to ingratiate himself with but they're just not drinking the Kool-Aid, and so they give him a hard time. So I kind of feel bad for that. But please be my guest to come down in Florida. We would love to have you.
So apparently the Florida governor and the president of the United States have been doing some talking. I don't have corroborated proof that Ron DeSantis said, I would be dream job to be a Supreme Court justice. But can you imagine how the left would lose its minds if this president, and I think he will, have the ability to select at least one more, if not two more Supremes before his term is done. And Hakeem Jeffries, you got to love Hakeem Jeffries. We will aggressively target for defeat Mario Diaz-Balart, Maria Elvira Salazar, right? Carlos Jimenez, Kat Kamek, Anna Polita, Luna, Laurel Lee, Corey Mills, Brian Mast. We are prepared to take all of them on, and we are prepared to win. Maximum warfare everywhere, all the time. That is what your House Minority Leader said. Now, let's go back to the nearly historic low approval, 10% approve of the job Congress is doing, which is only bested by a 9% vote a couple of years ago. 10%. Awful approval rating of Congress. Maximum warfare, says Hakeem Jeffries, against Republicans. This is where my respect for John Fetterman is buoyed. When he comes back and stands up to his own party and he says, I'm country over party. I'll do what's better for America than I will do what's better for Democrats. This is a blind, craven House Minority Leader in Hakeem Jeffries. Maximum warfare. Hey, Hakeem, how about the American people? How does that benefit us? Dollar store Obama. Oh my gosh, I love that. AIPAC Shakur. When we come back on the Wendy, bring it on, Hakeem, bring it on. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, I got to tell you this. So another NASA scientist has died, this time in a super suspicious crash. I'm sure it's nothing. You decide. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I thought it was a strong performance by Ron DeSantis. It didn't look like he was trying too hard to audition to be back in MAGA's good graces. I think he's a great governor, right? And I think some people could be great governors and not good presidents. You could be a great such and such, but not a blah, blah, blah. And that's sort of like him. He could be a tremendous Supreme. Who do you think goes first, Clarence Thomas or Alito? Alito? Why?
I think Thomas has obviously I don't know. It just seems like he has such an affinity for his job and the law that I think it's going to be harder for him to step away, where Alito has said about stepping away. Thomas never asked. They asked because of his age, or never said.
Well, he's outlived his whole family.
What's that?
He's outlived his whole family. He's got medical issues and what have you. Morgain's Fitness, Kelly Morgan, Morgain's Fitness, MORGAINZ Fitness.com. Here's the benefit. I know a lot of you, perhaps you're a little bit older than I. I'm 56. Maybe you're a little bit older than I, around my age. And what did you do? You worked hard, you raised a family, and your body probably fell through the cracks. It's extraordinarily difficult to prioritize your health and well-being and fitness when you're working so hard to care for other people who depend on you. And so all of a sudden, then you look in the mirror and you're like, dang, what happened to me? A lot of people are uncomfortable doing stuff in public. They don't want to really show what they know or what they don't know at a gym. They're much more private. That's one of these things that Morgain's Fitness is great with. You can do this program, 90 days to reclaim your body, from the comfort of your home. She shows you the exercises. You get videos so you can follow along and copy it. And then after a week, you won't need to do that, right? You exercise several days a week. You get outside, get your steps up. Make sure you drink a lot of water with collagen and thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Amazing things happen. And in 90 days, you are a figment of your former self. And the befores and afters I have are stupid. This one guy is one of my faves. Oh, the cute girl with the coconut. Oh my God, she's so darling. I could eat her for breakfast. All right, hold on. Come on, baby. Here we go. Look at this guy. Now, I'm going to say that wasn't 3 months.
No.
But that's doing the program.
It's dedication.
You got a little zhuzh going on in the hindquarters back here, right? I say my problem area here to here, right? She can help you with that. She can help you with that. Morgainsfitness.com. MORGAINZ fitness.com. I personally think the 90 Ignite would be something that my husband should do, right? He's not going to go join a gym. He's not going to go all of a sudden buy a bunch of equipment, but there is stuff that you could do at home with things you already have and work out, right? Morgainsfitness.com.
Kids start punching the kids. That's a good workout.
Wow. That's rude.
Give them the jackhammer. That'll.
Yeah, I have to see what they're doing. So we're going to put up a camera that you guys can access of this ridiculous construction project in my house. I'm going to share it with you. So we can all be on it together. I have a lot of anxiety about it. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. We're not going to get off of this science and researcher death, disappearance phenomenon until these events stop happening, but they haven't stopped. And they're being connected now. Another NASA scientist dies, this time in a super suspicious crash. Joshua LeBlanc, that's his name. He worked on nuclear propulsion at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. He would be the 13th disappearance or death of individuals with access to sensitive U.S. scientific information. This gentleman, Joshua LeBlanc, 29 years old, he was a NASA electrical engineer. He's from New Iberia, Louisiana. And his circumstances are super suspicious, like Bill McCausland, right? Who leaves their phone? Who leaves your phone behind when they go out? Who leaves their wallet behind when they get in the car? Who leaves their dog behind and doesn't come back? Mysteriously vanished from his Huntsville, Alabama apartment in July 2025. His family noted his phone, his wallet, his dog, and other belongings remained there. He suggested no plans to leave. They spoke to their son every day. And let's talk about this. Joshua LeBlanc's Tesla and body were found burned beyond recognition about 2 hours from his Huntsville home. A NASA nuclear scientist died after a fiery crash in a rural Alabama town last year, which at the time caused suspicion among family members. Joshua LeBlanc, 29, died in that crash in his Tesla on July 22nd, 2025. The crash happened in Huntsville, Alabama, where his Tesla was found burned beyond recognition at about 2:45 in the afternoon. The Alabama law enforcement agency told Fox News. The vehicle collided with a guardrail and then several trees before it burst into flames at 4:32 a.m. on the same day. LeBlanc's family. All right, so this is 8:12. This is 10 hours before he died. 4:32 a.m. that day, LeBlanc's family reported him missing. He uncharacteristically failed to show up to his job as an aerospace technologies electrical engineer at NASA, where he worked on nuclear propulsion projects. His body was also burned beyond recognition, and police confirmed his identity 3 days later after his body was transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. If you believe what any of these agencies tell you. At the time, his family told KLFY TV station that they feared he had been abducted and that he had left his cell phone and wallet in his home at the time of the disappearance. Police tracked LeBlanc down using the data from his Tesla Sentry mode and found that his vehicle had sat at the airport in Huntsville for 4 hours on the morning of his death. His family said his trip west was not part of his plan for the day. That's where the airport was, vis-a-vis his house, and that uncharacteristically, he was not communicating with them. A LinkedIn page for LeBlanc says he worked for NASA for about 5.5 years. He was a team lead for NASA's Space Nuclear Propulsion Instrumentation and Control Maturation Project. The technology would enable faster and more robust transportation for crew and cargo missions to Mars and science missions to the outer solar system, according to the government's website. LeBlanc was later a team lead on NASA's demonstration rocket for Agile Cislunar Operation, or DRACO project. It's a nuclear thermal propulsion engine. Really? And he just didn't show up at work? Just left? His family knew something was sketch? They knew it was sketch the day before, but when he didn't show up to work. He's found dead 10 hours later, burned beyond recognition. Why was his car at the airport? Why would he leave his phone behind? Why would he leave his freaking wallet behind? It makes no sense. And so this is me asking this because I trust no one and believe nothing anymore. You have to, right? How do you know that was him in that Tesla? How do you know? How do we know that was Thomas Crooks? How do we know any of this stuff? Anybody could say anything. And then with the powers of bribery, blackmail, threats of death, or of some weird, wacky microwave weapon that zaps you the way that everybody was zapped when they captured Maduro? What? But we're not supposed to pay attention to this. Well, I'm sure it's no big. Looks like he hit a ball. I don't know. He must not have been paying attention. Really? Really? Okay. Now, no matter what you think, we're going to have to go a little bit further now, ladies and gentlemen. Because now a famous UFO researcher named David Wilcock has been found dead in an apparent suicide, and that makes 14. 1 is a tragedy, 2 is a coincidence, 3, right? 3 is a trend, 14 is a cause for national security alarms, ladies and gentlemen. And so this is me, bang, 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 sounding the alarm. We'll dig into this story. David Wilcock, hundreds of thousands of followers, lots of people knew him. He just decided to kill himself. Nothing to see here. Next. Right. All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
What you talking about, Willis?
I know. What? What you talking about, Willis? All right, I'll be right back. Whoa.
I would never think that I would be digging these stories about the scientists, but this is, to me, this is super interesting. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we talked about this. Has a lot to do with, I think, you could disagree with me or not. I think it has a lot to do with fossil fuels, and there's a lot of money and a lot of people who would be severely hurt by the lack of need in fossil fuels. Okay, so you're still going to have people pumping oil because it's literally in every aspect of our life. But can you imagine if they find a better way to fuel cars? And a lot of gas stations would be out of business. And just think, if you find ways for that, you start running trucks. I mean, you just start thinking more and more the price of transportation to transport, because most of our stuff is transported through trucking industry. You start looking at the cost of things start going down because you don't have to pay the fuel for the trucks that deliver literally everything that we use every day.
You talking about all the people who would like to see her dead or people dead?
Well, yeah, like I said, just think of like it, for national security. But if they find a efficient way to fuel cars and trucks and all the money that, would be.
Think about your turnpike tolls. Those are all of your gas taxes, all of the things that are accompanied that. The ripple effect of.
It's huge financially for states. I mean, what is it? Almost 60 cents for every gallon in PA? Just PA.
Yeah. You're at the end of a pipeline.
Yeah. So every time I fill up at the gas station, I'm giving the state of Pennsylvania $7.50, $8.
Right? Right?
That's great. Now times me by how many people drive.
100%. Let's ask another question. I'm legitimately interested in this. What can I ask you about these missing researchers that I wonder, you guys all see that this is sketch as balls, right? Everybody knows that this is super sketch and super suspicious. And the more that the mainstream media is like, it's not really happening. It's like how they didn't cover Hunter's laptop. It's like, just because you're not covering it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, but
that makes me think.
But it does confirm to me that there's dirty shit going on and that you're part of it or causing it. Yeah. I hate everybody. I do. Sorry. I should be more benevolent, but I just don't have it today.
All I can think of is brisket now.
Look, and what more can I say? I'm no rocket scientist. I'm a moderately intelligent woman. I mean, I have a master's degree in broadcasting. Like, it's not like, I'm bending the surface of, experiments.
You're not doing math to change the world.
No, I became a journalist because I can't do math.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's so offensive to me. And by the way, the cavalier nature with which they manage these people's deaths, it's like, oh, nothing to see here. Just hose it off and move along.
Everybody leaves their house without their phone, their wallet, their keys.
That's totally sus. And then a couple of them, well, at least one, had her phone wiped. Melissa Cassius. She's my age. She's got an adult daughter who lives at home with she and her husband. Very close family. She goes for a walk without her phone. Bill McCausland, or whatever his name is, he takes a gun, but not his phone.
Wait, how about the guy that was shot by the same guy who did the shooting at was it Brown University? I heard he was the same guy who shot the kids at Brown University, also shot that guy. So what's that make you originally think?
The guy who offed himself at a storage facility?
Yeah, that just makes me think that the Brown thing was the cover.
Oh.
What really happened. I've watched Scandal. I know, damn it. I know how these people work.
Stop calling me. Yeah, what happened to that list?
B613.
Do not call list.
Yeah.
Turd.
This is all B613.
What's that again? I don't know. What
Scandal.
That oh, I'm not there yet. Dude, I don't have an elephant's memory. Right? I don't even know what I ate for lunch yesterday.
You better start watching.
I am watching. I'm on episode 3.
I've taken a day off.
I'm on episode 3.
For you to catch up. And
episode 3, Scandal. You guys can join us. Yeah. What do you guys think about all this missing scientist stuff? At the beginning of the show, I had said to you, I think one of the things that we're all going to have to get a little bit better at is being uncomfortable, because we're going to learn some things that are going to be very disappointing. And I think a lot of us are going to be stunned. I think a lot of you won't be. I think we talk enough about our suspicions. And I have proudly worn my conspiracy theory moniker. If anybody out there wants to give me one, that's fine. I don't care. I don't care, but something happened in this country in the last several years where we were kind of told not to ask questions. Shut up. Nobody cares what you think. So you don't want to take it because you're worried about it's got embryonic cells in it. Get it anyway. Shut up. You're going to lose your job. It's a very dangerous kind of perspective, isn't it? And those of us who spoke up and were like, well, I'm not cool with that. I know what revenge looks like. I know what retribution looks like. I know what being butthurt and being beaten feels like. I'm not saying me. I see it out there. This story has to be front and center. Famous UFO researcher David Wilcock, dead from apparent suicide 2 days after posting a video warning about how it's scary that scientists are going missing. And he previously posted about how he's not suicidal. There are moments where I wish I was. No, I don't really. I don't wish that I had, say, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones fame. I don't, because you're much more scrutinized. You and I can kind of fly under the radar here, doing what we're doing. I don't feel unsafe. But a lot of people out there are getting pretty sketchy. Prominent UFO researcher, Ancient Aliens personality, and best-selling author David Wilcock was found dead in an apparent suicide outside of his home in Boulder County, Colorado. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office confirmed in a press release the deputies responded to a 911 call to the 1400 block of Ridge Road, where Wilcock resided, about 10:44 a.m. April 20th. This is 3 days ago, you guys, regarding a possible mental health crisis. When deputies arrived at approximately 11:02 a.m., they encountered a male subject outside a residence holding a weapon. The man then used the weapon on himself. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The release did not name Wilcox, citing the need to notify next of kin, but many were quick to note that this is the exact block he lived on. Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna subsequently confirmed Wilcox passing on X, writing, "We just learned of the tragic passing of David Wilcox. We're praying for his family and loved ones and the millions of lives he impacted." I'm embarrassed to tell you, I have no idea who the dude is. Never heard of him before today, never paid attention to him. And here's what I found out. 53-year-old Wilcox, well-known figure in ufology. I still don't know how to pronounce that. Is it ufology, and alternative research circles. He authored multiple New York Times bestsellers. He appeared regularly on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens program and served as director of advanced technology for Stavati Aerospace. He'd been vocal about government disclosure on unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, heard that kicked around a lot lately, and advanced technologies, especially speaking to the over 500,000 people who subscribed to him on YouTube. Wow. Just 2 days before his death, Wilcox went live on YouTube and made chilling remarks about a pattern of deaths in his community. And he said this. He said, "I'm excited to be here. You know, every day that I have on earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. It's a little bit scary." Yeah, you think? So that's what he said. The day before he did that live stream, though, he posted on X saying, "My dear family, I am not yet sure if I am doing a show tomorrow. I've had some very intense stuff going on this weekend." Either way, I want you all to know how much I love and appreciate you. Always remember that the Creator is within, and we live in a loving universe. I am very grateful to you for all of your love, care, and support. It's almost like he knew he was going to die. Now, how do you get a guy who clearly is not suicidal to kill himself in his driveway? How do you do that? What do you do? What's your leverage? Is there some laser beam that goes into his brain and he's like, "I must kill myself, I'm a robot"? Or do they say, "Look, dude, here's the story. You're going to off yourself and you're going to like it. And then we'll protect the rest of your..." I don't know. But according to Round River, that FBI operation that didn't allow us to ask questions about Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family syndicate, do you think if you actually asked anybody, you would get an honest answer? I don't think so. This makes 14. Now, the timing of his death has raised eyebrows among followers, especially given Wilcox's past statements, pushing back against any belief that he would kill himself. In a resurfaced 2022 social media post, he wrote, "I plan on living, not suicidal at all, just concerned about what happens when you prove God is real." What? Why is everybody coming out and saying, "I'm not suicidal"? Because they're being threatened. Because something is happening in their lives. That Frank Milner guy, or whatever the hell his name was, described to Elizabeth Vargas that Amy Eskridge, a researcher who was dealing with propulsion technology and all this stuff, who had, quite frankly, possibly made an advancement, made a discovery, an epiphany that would fundamentally change everything, and how we maybe even heat our homes, how we travel, what we use gas for, if we don't need it anymore, all these things. And he's like, look, people in her orbit were getting harassed. They were getting roofied. They were getting beaten up. They were getting hit with these microwave weapons of torture. What? Why isn't anybody talking about it? Oh, because they're all dying. Maybe that's why. A cone of silence. So why did so many of these missing or murdered scientists leave their phones and wallets behind? Why would you do that? Nobody leaves anywhere without their phone. Your phone is everything. Your phone, if you use it like I do, has your credit card information, has 74 million photographs that I don't know if you're ever going to download, but whatever. There they are. It's every contact in your life. It's a calendar. It's a small computer. It's literally your digital footprint. You ping from various cell towers. It is your GPS locator. You don't think everybody knows who you are, where you are, and at every time of the day? Absolutely. So if you leave your phone behind, you are now unfindable, untraceable. It's almost like they were told. And if you bring your phone, like somebody had called, been like, I need you to walk out of your house and you're going to meet me in the woods. And then they're like, bzzzt, and they disappear or they're murdered. What's going on? So retired Major General William Neal McCasland, he left his New Mexico home on February 27th without his phone, without his keys, without his glasses. But he took a handgun? What? That's not some dude going out for a stroll. That's somebody who's been connected with. That's somebody who's been contacted. His wife had left to run an errand shortly before. She said she came back in an hour and he was gone. But all of his his glasses? Look, I need mine to read. I don't need mine to see like around me. You don't leave your glasses behind. Anthony Chavez. This is another guy. He worked at the Los Alamos facility where a lot of these people who were killed or missing worked. He departed on foot May 8th, 2025. Departed what? His home. Left his phone, his wallet, his keys, and his car behind. Where are you walking? Melissa Casillas, also from the Los Alamos facility. She vanished after dropping off lunch to her daughter. And then her daughter comes home and finds multiple phones of Melissa's, all of which have been factory reset. They were wiped. And yet there's footage and camera pictures from like storefronts of her walking. No phone, no car keys, no nothing. Walking along a highway and then never seen again. And yet her phones were wiped. Every photograph, every text message, every contact, every calendar input. Everything gone, all of a sudden just gone. Why? That's so weird. There is no such thing as a coincidence. Certainly not in this. I mean, think about that. Factory reset erases everything. All of your user data, your apps, your settings, your accounts, your photos, your messages, your customizations. It restores the device to its original out-of-the-box state. Somebody freaking called her on that phone, ladies and gentlemen, and then they wiped it clean. And they told her something. Is it kind of like the phone call Nick Shirley's mom got? Don't. From some Russian mobster who's swindling the American taxpayer in Los Angeles County and doesn't want the gravy train to end. We will kill you. We will kill someone you love. Nick Shirley looked like he'd seen a ghost. See, here's the scary part. This is all over the target. All of it over the target. Now, I could go into all of this stuff about Melissa Casillas. And you know what? I might do that when we come back because this particular case is extraordinarily weird. If you look at the total pool of scientists in the specific niche of people who've either died or disappeared, nuclear propulsion and high-level aerospace, right? There's only a few thousand people in this country who do that. For 14 of them to vanish or die in such a short window is an anomaly. I'd like to call Erin Burnett over at CNN. She's like, there are thousands of people who work in this field. Are 14 of them dead? Because the answer is yes, Erin, you feckless twit. It's a story. And that you're refusing to cover it, or you're going to cover it with such ambivalence or disdain, means you're dirty. Sweetie bug, dirty. Let's talk about Melissa Casillas when we come back. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Did I seem like a raging lunatic?
Did you seem like a what? Lunatic?
Yeah. The answer is no.
Oh, no.
You're so not helpful.
No, I think it's the how do you not ask questions?
You're not allowed to ask questions.
You get into journalism.
That's Round River.
To ask, literally ask questions.
Yes.
That's your job.
All of this is connected. And it's like, I see it. I'm like, and I'm not even smoking pot.
Here we go.
I'm trying to connect everything we've talked about today.
Maybe you should, and you'll come out with this epiphany. You'll go home and get like blasted high, and then come back tomorrow and be like,
I know everything.
I went to another portal.
Don't you think the phone thing is super sus?
Yes.
So what do you guys think? Tell me what's going on here. Let's see how many comments. 365 comments. That's phenomenal. Let me see what newest. What do you guys think? John Solomon is brilliant. Let's see. Oh, no one's talking. Here's another one. What? Desert Witch. I love you. Let me put this in my rundown for tomorrow, and I'll check it out.
What?
Another dead scientist, possibly. You guys, and here's the thing. You want to bet that there's a whole lot more than 14? Whole lot more. Because right now, people are like, she didn't kill herself. She said, I'm not going to shoot myself with my own gun. I'm not going to overdose on my own prescription medication. I'm not going to drive off of the road. This other guy is, right? Joshua LeBlanc, 29 years old, Tesla burned to a crisp. Oh, no, we didn't. It's him. What if these people are being abducted, those who have been missing? They've been snatched. Literally, this is how crazy I am. I see Bill McCausland walking out into the woods or somewhere to meet whomever has called him and said, don't bring your phone. And I don't know. Did he get into a portal like the Jetsons? Was there an I Dream of Jeannie and she was like, and he like disappeared and went somewhere?
Maybe he was beamed up.
How did that gal go missing on the freaking hiking trail? If I'm hiking with you, you're going to hear me because I'm going to be like, right? And then she's like, she was 30 feet behind him. Like, there's nothing there. Conspiracy theorist, MAGA extremist.
Total pivot.
Yeah.
Seeing all the stuff on X stories about 84 to 86% cancer reversal or cure using ivermectin. Do you see those studies?
No. You want to know why they demonized ivermectin when went after it? The FBI was intercepting it at your freaking post office because it works. What if you took an ivermectin today and never got cancer? Because I believe that's probably the case. They can't have something that's pennies on the dollar to make in vast supply, safe for everybody. Oh, and effective? No, get the shot.
No money and you being well.
That's why we got 9 new billionaires. All of them worked at Pfizer.
Wow.
I mean, literally,
wow.
I'm done. Scientists disappearing is scary as stones. Children dying because of a shot they never should have gotten, that the government lied to us about. And we told you they were lying and you already knew. How do you think this army was formed? We showed up, told the truth, gave you our sources, and you double-checked me. Radio program. Look, we walked down a lot of lines in this show, but I don't think anything is off limits. I don't think we should not talk about things. All things should be on the table. So this is the odd disappearance of Melissa Casillas. This is a Reddit post. I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what a lot of people, citizen journalists, people who pay attention, people like you, people like me, put these things out. This is a Reddit post. Woman forgets a work ID and is supposed to work from home. She's last seen a few hours later walking along a highway wearing the same clothes she was last seen in. Where is Melissa Casillas? Okay, so here's the story. She was 53. She went missing from Talpa, New Mexico. She lives in Rancho or lived in Rancho de Taos. She was married to Mark Casillas for 20 years. They had an adult daughter named Sierra. Melissa and Sierra were very close. The three lived together in one home. Melissa was an administrative assistant at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Mark was also an employee there. Melissa was an avid hunter and archer. She'd won several competitions. She was well known in the local hunting and archery scene. Jose Mondragon, Melissa's father, said his daughter was a strong gal who can survive up in the wilderness for days. Let's see. She was an animal lover, soft spot for dogs and cats and horses. Her family described her as soft-spoken, tough gal who was deeply devoted to her daughter, her family, and her community. Mark described his wife as the most wonderful person, always smiling. She didn't get angry. She was a lovable person. Melissa was last seen on the 26th of June last year. She dropped off her husband at the laboratory for his shift at around 6:15 a.m. However, Melissa noticed that she forgot her ID badge. She decided to work remotely from the family home. Mark told her that he was going to need the car by 11 a.m., and Melissa said that she would bring it back to him at that hour as usual. Looking back, Mark said he didn't think anything about that conversation was out of the ordinary. The daughter woke up about 7:30, said Melissa came home about 15 minutes later when Sierra asked why she was home. Melissa replied she'd forgotten her badge, which Sierra accepted. As Sierra got ready to leave for work, nothing about Melissa seemed off to her. When Melissa didn't bring the car at 11, Mark assumed she just got busy with work. That was until Melissa's boss called him and asked if she was okay. Mark said yes, she should be at work, but Melissa's boss told him, didn't show. About 12:30 that afternoon, Melissa picked up lunch for Sierra at a Subway store and drove it to a cafe where Sierra worked. The two talked briefly for about 7 minutes. Sierra gave Melissa a check to drop off at the bank for her. Sierra said that Melissa was a little quiet, but overall seemed normal. Worried, Mark contacted Sierra at 1:30. They couldn't find her. She was missing. About 2:18, a family acquaintance observed Melissa walking around on New Mexico 518, a route from Talpa, New Mexico, an area towards Pot Creek, about 3 miles away from the family home. She was recorded by a security camera at a local business. She was wearing the same clothes she was last seen wearing in. It was difficult to tell if she was distressed. She had a backpack on the recording. Sierra believes that Melissa took a toothbrush, a hair iron, and a few other personal items from the house. Her family believes she got into a car shortly after she was recorded. The investigators see as a possibility that's being investigated. Mark and Sierra, frantic, trying to figure out what's going on. Sierra rushes home. She finds in her mom's office Melissa's purse, her mom's purse, her personal phone, and her wallet. Both phones had been wiped. Mark was dropped off by a coworker about 5, reported his wife missing. Her disappearance was seen as unusual. They had a family trip to the lake planned over the weekend that the mother and daughter were especially excited about. And Melissa was supposed to take her mother to the hospital for a knee replacement surgery the next week. She planned to take a day off to be in the hospital during the surgery, and she discussed dividing up the post-surgery care responsibilities with her sister. So what happened? Now, Sierra and Mark believe that Melissa left on her own volition, possibly due to stress. And she allegedly had a tendency to bottle things up. But they also believe Melissa lied about forgetting the badge in the morning. As Mark said, he saw her swiping it when she drove him to work. Seems like she had to use it to get into the parking lot. But she'd been going through a huge amount of stress. A huge, huge, huge amount of stress. That's exactly what they said. What did Frank Milburn say about the researcher Amy Eskridge? She was super stressed out, as were the coworkers. Why? What were they afraid of? What was happening to them? Who was threatening them? Why would she leave and carry some things with her, like a toothbrush and something to do her hair with? Well, it's just nothing, I'm sure. Right? I mean, Aaron Burnett over at CNN says, I'm sure it's just some fringe fantasy theory by the MAGA people. Or you have at a minimum 14 researchers and scientists who are either dead or have disappeared, and you're not supposed to know why. Why? Thanks for being part of the show. We'll chew more tomorrow on the Wendy Bell Radio program. I love you. Peace.